Oh, what is going on, everyone?
Hey.
See what's going on. TDC Incentives Podcast, episode 23. Today we have a hold on but before we get into it about healthy relationships, this was a request from majority of our listeners. So a lot of our listeners wanted to talk about marriage, divorce, relationships, and it's just been like I got female listeners telling me, can you talk about how men, why always they do this? Oh, and then you got the men listeners, saying like, can you talk about how women always wanna? So this was a very request. This is gonna be a very deep episode. We got TC, we got Phonetic Wisdom, we got Nyron, we got Elon. Listen.
Hey.
We here. All right. Let's jump into it. Let's definitely jump into it to the questions. I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna start getting deep real quick. So I feel like my first question is, I really feel like when it comes to us as human beings, when it comes to society, relationships, and marriage, I feel like it's a learning process and it's very educational. Like, it's, how you work on yourself and you want to grow. I think when it comes to relationships, it's the same thing. Like, it's a never ending process. So I can talk about me, right? Where I can be a good brother. I can be a good best friend. I can be, a good father, friend, everything else. But when it comes to my partner, my significant other, that's something that has a deficit or something that I lack. So talk about more of a deeper phase of how can we get into that. We can be a good friend. We can be a good family member, a good brother. But when it comes to your significant other, we have a deficit about that. Can you please explain that, please?
Yeah. I guess, well, this is Miss Avery in the background you hear, but
she's the star of the show, man.
Yeah. So I believe that, like, what you're saying is true. I think that a lot of times someone can be very great in a lot of fields, professionally, in friendships, and a lot of different things, and just be terrible in relationships. It's a learned thing, and the reason why it's so hard is because you're dealing with somebody else that you're inviting into your space. You're inviting to who you are. Like, you're saying, this is somebody else I'm going to be very close with, and I'm taking everything that they are and putting them with me. So everything that they are is now with me. And now every fault they have, everything that they are, I have to accept that, how that is, exactly what that is, and accept that and be able to navigate in that space. So I think it's just a different dynamic. It's just a totally different dynamic. So I think a lot of times people have to, what you're saying is like, good, but a lot of people have to work on themselves, on being a good spouse first. I think that's something that a lot of people don't focus on, is like, am I a good spouse? Because I have this belief that most people believe they're great spouses. Most people think like, I am a great spouse.
They don't be though.
and like, but the reality is, you are a great spouse relative to the person you are talking to.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Right.
So you're only a great spouse to that person.
Right.
So meaning, like, if you want to be with this person, your goal is to be the best spouse for that person, which might not be a great spouse for somebody else. I have that conversation all the time with like friends, because like a lot of times people think that if I don't want to be with that person or want to break with that person, it's because that person is a bad man or bad woman, or like they're a bad spouse. No, they're just not for you. Like, you don't have to demean them. You don't have to like say they're a terrible person. You don't have to say that like they're the worst kind of human for you not to be with them. They could just be like, they are a great person for not me. They're just not a good person for me. And I think a lot of times we have to like operate in that space.
Yeah, I think another part of like learning to be a good spouse is learning that as annoying as you think the other person is, they probably think you're equally as annoying and have things you need to work on. Because when it comes to like relationships with our friends and our family, it's like your family, you kind of can't choose. Like, it is what it is. You'll forgive, you'll overlook, you'll whatever when it comes to those kinds of relationships, because you feel that bond is important. Same with longtime friends. You've had a friend since elementary school, middle school, high school. You'll kind of do whatever to make that friendship work if you feel that way. You'll kind of overlook whatever. But when it comes to like personal relationships, like, you know, marriage, dating, whatever the case is, we're not as forgiving for some reason. Like, the thing that like, our boyfriend or girlfriend could do the same thing that a friend would do, and for some reason the boyfriend or girlfriend doing it is 10 times more annoying. And it's like, well, what's that really about? And I think it comes down to us holding the person to such a high standard that's like almost impossible when we're not really meeting that standard in our own selves. And because we're not and another thing too, I feel like when you see your partner or your spouse doing something that's really, like, it really bothers you, like really, really, rather than take a moment and be like, why is that bothering me? Because the truth is, it might be bothering you because it's something that you do that you think is annoying about you. And it's being manifested in your face and you can't take it.
Ooh.
That may be it. But it's like, you wouldn't have that same reaction with, you know, like a friend or a family member. So it's like, you got to get deeper into like, what is so triggering about what's happening with this person that I'm having this reaction and we're now having this friction, as opposed to being able to like have a conversation and figure out like, what this person can kind of correct so that we don't continue to have this conversation over and over about the same thing. So I think relationships are really about open communication and having the conversation, even when it's uncomfortable, because if you've been in a relationship for a long time and you know you're not having conversation, the arguments are going to be the same over and over and over. And the trigger for the argument might be different, but the underlying issue in the argument is the same because you've never just confronted it head on.
Oh, that was deep. That was deep.
I have one question about that.
TC. Before we get into the questions, one thing I made a mistake on my end. Maybe because, you know, the spirit was really getting into me about this. You know, I'm very excited about this episode. You feel me? One thing, you know what I'm saying? So the spirit was into me. One thing I forgot to do, you know, and that's my mistake, you know, as a host, is I forgot to have them introduce themselves. You always do.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Please, yeah. So please introduce yourself, our guests for this episode, and then TC, you get ask your question.
Yeah.
So hello everyone, my name is Kristin Bennett. I've been married to this very handsome guy here for almost 7 years, and we have a toddler, a 3-year-old, who is making noise intermittently in the background. Yeah, and we like each other. We're married. You know, it's super cool here. And, I don't know what to say. I mean,
that was so
like,
real.
he likes me. Like, it's nice here.
We here.
We have things going on. We do things. We're busy people. We're just trying to make it day by day in this pandemic. So here we are.
Yeah. My name is Mark Bennett. Like we both like do a lot of things together. My name is like I said, we married 7 years. We started our own business together. We started a podcast together.
We be doing life together.
Yeah, but we just interact a lot and just work with it. But like I think our big thing is to always like re-look into ourselves and say like, where are we really? Because like the last thing we want to do is to give this facade that we're a great couple and we be trash.
Right. That's how a lot of people be out here living. Shade but no shade. Like that's how a lot of people be out here living.
So that is the thing we always like take a second, like, yo, but like, how do you feel about this for real?
Right.
Like we don't want to come off as like, y'all a great couple, and be like, as soon as you turn the camera off. Yeah, like, we don't want to do that.
Right. Which is why, like, even when he approached me and was like, oh, so we were asked to come on a podcast and talk about relationships, I was like, listen, I don't want to, because, you know, when people start going down that road as relationship experts, then 2 years from now, it'd be like, we would like you to respect our privacy at this time. And it's just like, bro, you knew it was trash when you went on that thing and was being a relationship expert. So I'm very wary about, like, that ever being the perception of us, because I'm like,
we're not going to say what is perfect advice. All we can say is
what works for us. Because what works for us may not work for other people, and that's okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me. I didn't ask Kevin Samuels or Derek Jacks to get in this podcast.
You did that?
We're not going to do that.
No, ma'am. No, sir.
Ooh, yikes.
No, sir. All right. Not today.
Let's go. All right, TC.
One of my questions was what we just talked about. How we like basically when your partner does something wrong, we like scold them really bad and stuff like that. I wonder, is that affected by how you brought up as well? Like if you never really see a healthy relationship in front of you from your parents, for example, I wonder if that has any kind of effect on you in a relationship.
Yeah, how you were brought up, and that's what we talk about, like in the beginning of like unpacking yourself, right? You have to be able to look at how parents interacted themselves, and how they interacted with you, and like how that impacts you.
Right.
And you have to realize that, because how they interact, you might even like as a child, like, oh, that might have been unhealthy, but growing up, you're kind of like, but like I guess it worked.
Right.
So like, you start adapting certain things,
right?
And like it's I don't know if you've ever seen a meme where someone was like, people always say, oh, this happened to me and I'm fine. I'm like, you're not fine.
No, that
is you're not okay. You're not okay. So I think in terms of like scolding and everything, I think it's important to understand that you are on equal grounds and that is not your child. And it's important to note that with somebody. It's important to address it that way. That is not your child. That is not someone beneath you. You are both on the same page.
Right.
So just like how you make mistakes, they make mistakes.
Yes.
And many times, like we have this conversation all the time, is like, if I mess up, we could have a conversation about it, but the same way how she knows I messed up, I know I messed up too, and I'm beat up about it. So like, she doesn't have to keep telling me I messed up.
Right.
I know I messed up.
Right. Like I don't like he doesn't have to make a mistake, and then I'm there like, yeah, you know what you could have did. You could have did that too, and this is what you could have did. Like
I know I messed up.
Right. Like he knows.
So like if it comes to I messed up, and then like I'm not doing anything about it. Like okay, we have that conversation again, but like. Give your spouse the opportunity to fix things.
Right.
And stop trying to feel like, oh, if I don't tell them, then we're fixed. Like, you don't have to address it every time they mess up.
Right.
You don't.
And also, if you're dating somebody that you believe is intellectually beneath you, perhaps you shouldn't be. Like, I mean,
if you feel like you have to be like, I gotta teach this person, you shouldn't be with
the person is either too young, either age-wise or emotionally, physically, like something ain't right. Because at our big age, like we're 35. Like if we weren't married, I wouldn't be trying to date a 35-year-old man that I was trying to teach things about life. He should know. Yeah. He should know. So if you're having those types of conversations where you feel like you have to raise your partner, you're doing it wrong. Just break up.
You can't be counselor and spouse.
Respectfully.
You can't
respectfully.
You can't be counselor and spouse.
That's not how this
works.
works.
You are together, working together. You're not trying to bring somebody up or teach somebody or mold somebody into somebody.
Yes.
They are.
We have got to stop these project relationships in 2021. We have got to end it. We have got to stop it. In Jesus' name, we have got to stop it.
No more projects.
No more projects. We're not doing that here.
Like,
no.
I need to be getting something. I can't just be pouring into you all the time to try to build you up. I'm getting nothing from this.
Right.
Because at the end, and because if I pour into you doing stuff and then something happens, now I'm feeling like something's crazy. Kind of like I poured into you and nothing. I'm expecting something coming out of this because I'm pouring into you and not getting anything out of it.
Because, like, you know, we always see these stories of women been with these men for all these years, and then the guy leaves them, and they're like, oh, but I built him up. I helped him get a college degree. I helped him. Why? For what? Why?
You can't, like, human beings are not projects. They're not Build-A-Bears.
Hey, how about
you don't just
come on,
like,
somebody.
like we do that sometimes, especially like and like if you're growing adult, we're kind of like, nah, but if they're like, if they change a little bit, that'd be great. I've told this to people all the time. Before you even get to the point of engagement or anything like that, if you cannot accept the person how they are right now,
forever and ever,
and if they never change, do not get engaged. You're not engaged. You're not marrying somebody based off what they can be. You're marrying based off who they are right this second.
Right.
So if they're right this second, not who you. If they never change, you're not okay with that. Do not be with them.
Right, because they ain't gonna do nothing different once y'all move forward. It's gonna be the
You
same.
can't do anything to change anybody
without
that they don't want to change themselves.
Exactly. That's it right there.
Hallelujah. Praise God.
Okay.
That's some gems there. Yeah.
Wow. And you see,
Okay.
hello. I don't mean to interject. Well, I do mean to interject.
Interject. Do what you do, sir.
So just so y'all know, before just so y'all know, Nyron is the kind of person that'll give you 50 questions.
Yes. Be prepared. Yeah.
Hold on.
Brace yourself.
Okay.
See, well, everybody else agrees with your statement. I think I don't.
Okay.
I believe. You know, I believe in the potential of human beings. I believe in the value of growth, right? And I know that people have a tendency to get stuck in their ways. But if you choose to be in a relationship with someone, I think that it's almost your duty to try to bring out the best of who they are, right? Like you're trying, like. For me anyway, when it comes to relationships, if you love somebody, if you want to be with somebody, you always want to see them be the best version of who they are. And I think, yeah, right. So, and if you agree with that, it kind of contradicts the notion that
No.
Let
me interject.
Go ahead.
I
want to clarify what you were saying, but go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's okay if you want to interject in my interjection. That's fine. No. I think it's healthy to try to push your partner and try to make them better. I don't think it's a waste of time if they never get to where you think they should be. I think if you love somebody, you want to see the best version of who they are. You want them to be the best version of who they are. I think that's just natural.
Agreed. And I think, just for a point of clarification, there's a difference between supporting someone who is making efforts and taking strides to get to whatever that best version of themselves is, as opposed to pushing someone who does not want it, regardless of what potential you see, regardless of what you think. If it's like if he's saying to me, for example, Mark is saying to me, you know what, I want to go back to school. I want to get my master's degree. And he keeps telling me this, but he don't research school the first. He don't fill out a FAFSA. He don't do no type of work on his own to get there. What am I using my time to push him towards that for? It's clear that despite the words he's saying, and this is a totally hypothetical situation, despite the words he's saying, the actions aren't there yet to back it up. The most I can do as the partner is say, whenever you're ready to go into this, we can talk about how we're going to balance our child care situation. How is this going to be paid for? Like, I will support to the death. I am a supporter. But if I don't see that you're making the steps, even after I give you the clues, like, hey, you said you wanted to do this. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. And you're just doing nothing with it. At some point, I'm just going to be like, well, I've provided the information. I've let them know that I'm here to support, and I will continue to do that. But I'm not going to take time away from building myself to build you when you don't want to be built.
Yeah. And also to your point, we weren't saying you don't fight for them being their best person at all.
Yeah.
I think it's a different conversation of if they don't change, I wouldn't be with them.
Right.
That's a different conversation.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Meaning like, and that's why I said, if you can look at somebody, if you're with somebody and like, if they never change and they're the same way they were always are, and you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And you're okay with that, then that's okay. You should move forward.
Yeah.
If you are banking on the fact that they're going to change before you be with them, then maybe you should move on.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Because you don't want to. I'm sorry.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of times what someone would do is like, all right, I think they're going to be bad. Like I'm molding them. I see them going to be this person later on. So let me just latch onto this person because they're going to be something better later on. And this is what I assume they're going to be. That is not why you be with somebody.
Right.
You're with somebody based off who they are and how they act right this second.
Right.
That's why you're with somebody.
Yeah.
You'll fight to move forward, but that's why you're with somebody based off who they are now.
Right. Right. Because you don't want to get married and then 5 years later be like, you never reached the potential I thought you were going to reach before we got married. They didn't know you that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is the person you could be molding them to be is not the best person for you at the end of the day.
Or the best person for them.
Or the best you might be molding them to be somebody that's incompatible with the two of you. You might be molding them to be somebody that's better for somebody else. And that's a hard truth to swallow sometimes, because I feel like a lot of us have been in situations where we've been that person, where we've molded somebody and like we've almost molded them out of compatibility with us. And it's not intentional, it just is what it is. But you got to be mindful of that part as well.
I have a story with I have a friend who one person is very ambitious, right? They're very ambitious and they go hard with everything that they're doing and everything. The person who they were with, they were attracted to who they were and everything, but who they want to marry is somebody who's a stay-at-home. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. But they have to understand is what they're attracted to is their ambition.
Yeah.
If you take away their ambition, you're taking away a part of them. You're not going to like them anymore.
Yeah.
So you can't want them with their. If you want someone with ambition, you want everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted somebody who was very vocal. Right. Kristin's very vocal. I can't say I want her to be very vocal, but not vocal in this. Right. Not vocal about. I want her to be vocal. It comes with everything else. Mm-hmm. Her personality is molded with everything. Mm-hmm. It's molded with how she speaks out, how she talks about things, like all that comes with the package.
Yeah.
You get the whole person. You don't just get the parts you like with a person.
Yeah.
You get the whole person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, like you want somebody that complements some of your qualities and some of their qualities in a way, like a balance.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I'd like to chime in. So I'm tapping in, y'all. So yeah, I definitely love what y'all said about not trying to build someone. Because I like to listen to other people on YouTube and their advice on relationships and things that could potentially help or harm a relationship. And one of my favorite YouTubers, she said, "Would you bet your life on somebody's potential?" And when she said that, it dragged me a bit because I was the person who was, putting all my eggs in that one basket. And then when they all fell off of the, 10-story building and cracked, I was like, but what happened? Like, I thought like I was planting enough seeds and watering them and doing everything I could. And if you're, I think people don't really realize, like, when you are trying to mold someone to what you think they should be, you're telling them they're not good enough.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree.
And so that's like, oh, I you're great, but you could be so much better. Let's see how you could get there. Like, you're not their life coach.
Right.
Like, you're supposed to be the partner.
Right.
And I definitely resonate with that. Like, don't try to build nobody, because that's just going to lead you down a very resentful road. And I've personally been there.
Yeah.
Like, I've had my ex tell me, like, oh, like, you really helped me. Like, I'm so grateful for you. but you never turned back to think about me when you was doing better. So like, I think it's important to like really be mindful, like, okay, what's my agenda and why am I going about my relationship like this? Like at what point did I think that I needed to raise someone to be with them? Like, why do I want to be with a child? Because that's the psychology, right?
Right.
And so I wanted to go into another question. Like TC kind of touched on it. He, brought up like, seeing things your parents did. So I wanted to get a little deeper because I do think seeing what our parents do is very important in our relationships and, understanding how we move in them. So like for both of you, what would you say is something that was positive that you saw your parents do that you bring to your relationship? And what is something that you would say was like negative that you're like, okay, I have to work on not bringing this into my relationship because that really didn't work out or it was not healthy?
Well, my parents weren't married, so I don't really have a frame of reference here. They weren't married, and I think, thankfully,
I guess we can go by your grandparents.
Just knowing what I know about them, bad news bears. But my grandparents primarily raised me, and they were married for like 63 years before my grandfather passed away, and they had a very traditional like. I'm an islander. I'm from Barbados. That's where my family's from.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, friend. We see each other. And so my grandfather was the one who went out and made the money. And my grandmother stayed home and like took care of the house and took care of the kids and whatever. Like, I don't think my grandmother ever had like a job for real. Like, she was really good at baking. So she would like sell stuff like, to people in the neighborhood and stuff like that. But like, that was kind of their role. Like, I never saw my grandfather turn on a pot, boil a thing of water. I never saw him do anything like that. And, there is some part of me that, while I'm a very modern woman and all that jazz, there is a part of me that I think enjoys like serving my man and taking care of him and doing stuff for him because that's what I saw. So I think that's something that I think I've taken away from that. I think something that I've also taken away from watching my grandparents' relationship is sometimes it's best to just be quiet. And not like to diminish yourself, but in the sense of when conversations are getting heated and, things are getting ready to go left, like just being quiet. Because like my grandparents were like, it was cool. They was married for a long time. They weren't really arguing, going back and forth like that. But I would notice that, like when they would get into their little tiffs, like my grandfather at some point would be like, okay, sis, let's cut this. Let's cut this before it goes too far. And so I think that's something that, I kind of saw and kind of was like, I didn't always exercise it in previous relationships, but I think in this one, I've definitely been more conscious of kind of being quiet sometimes when I'm like amped up and ready to go, because, once you say stuff that you can't take back, like it taints your relationship forever. Because people don't forget when you say really hurtful things. So I think those are two things that I would say I took away from their relationship. I think if there were any negatives, it would be that when my grandfather did pass, like nobody kind of knew what to do because he did everything. Because that's what men in that time did. They paid all the bills. They just took care of everything. And they never really taught anybody how to do anything. So when he passed away, it was really kind of like who takes care of this? How do you take care of this? How do you pay this bill? How do you do this? How do you do that? And so I think that was a negative because it was like, dang, like my grandmother was really out here like by herself. Because I was a teenager, so I didn't have no like legal rights to anything or anything like that. So it was like trying to assist her the best I could, trying to figure out what to do. Like that was I would never want that for myself. Like I would never want him to be so on top of taking care of things that I never know what to do in the event that something happens to him. Knock on wood. Mm-hmm. So that's my takeaway. It's like having conversation about those things so that if it ever comes to that, I at least am aware enough to know how to handle the affairs going forward.
For me, so I think the positive, I guess, would be like seeing how how my father has always tried to do whatever he can for my mother all the time. Like my father has always been like, I'm gonna try to do whatever I can for her. Sometimes to the detriment of us, but it was always for like everything for her all the time and everything. So I think I've always was like, all right, always put your best foot forward for your spouse. Always put your best foot forward. And it kind of helped me carry over into adulthood and even in past relationships. Because I was always like, I put forth my best foot forward. So when it was time to leave the relationship, I had no regrets because like I tried my best. I'm moving. Yeah, I tried the best I could. I'm good now.
Yeah.
And the same thing. The negative I think was just bad communication. And I don't think I noticed how bad communication was until I had a conversation with because we went to premarital counseling. Mm-hmm. And like the person who was talking to us told us a lot about communication. And I was like, and then you start to notice bad communication patterns. Mm-hmm. And because communication means I'm saying something, and not only do you hear what I'm saying, you understand my intent, you understand what I'm trying to say, you understand what the meaning behind it is. Mm. And if that is not coming through to you, then we have bad communication.
Yep.
Right? If you're not getting my intent from me saying something to you, then we have bad communication.
Yep. Yep.
Right? So what would happen would be like I had to tell myself, I actually spoke about this with my friend. I was like, I told myself, all right, when we're having communication, let's take off the table any ill will. Mm-hmm. Take off the table that they're trying to hurt me at all with anything being said. Mm-hmm. No matter what's being said, take off the table they're trying to hurt me with their words. Mm-hmm. They're trying to hurt me or that they don't think the best for me. Like, take that off the table. Mm-hmm. So now I can come to every conversation with open eyes. Right. So even
and
ears, yeah. So even if something is said that is hurtful, I'm still hurt, right? Because I know the words are hurtful. So I'll still address that. I was hurt by what was said. Mm-hmm. But I have to also understand that her intention wasn't to hurt, and understand that also. Mm-hmm. That her intention was she could have just been hot or hungry, right? And so she was just saying how hungry. It had nothing to do with me, or she was upset with something else, or she might have been upset with me. So she was just saying something out of just anger, and she was upset. That doesn't mean that she's like, I'm trash, I don't want to be with you anymore.
Right.
It just means
right. Because I think that's the way we listen sometimes. Like we have these. And it's our own insecurities that we're really projecting onto our partner sometimes. And so like when they're saying certain things, they might be saying the sky is blue, but because we colorblind, they think, oh, they saying the sky is blue because they know I can't see the color blue. And we're adding layers to what was being said that was never there. And so now you're having this whole argument and it's like, who said that? Like, really, who said that? All I said was the sky was blue. How we get here to me saying that you a blind bat? Like, how did we escalate to this point? And so I think that your point is true. It's like you have to take away that assumption that the person means you harm or they're intentionally trying to be hurtful to you when you say something. Because the truth of the matter is, even with the most effective communication, hurtful things get said.
Yeah, and if you can't do that. If you can't make that assumption that like now what to do is trying to harm, get out the relationship.
Yeah, or get some counseling at the very least. Figure out why that's how you're taking that.
Yeah, like because like you shouldn't be with somebody if you feel as if everything that they're saying is trying to harm you.
Yeah, and if you're making the person feel like everything they say is harmful, now they're walking around on eggshells with you. So they're not even being honest no more. They're just trying to say stuff to kind of keep you from getting into another argument. And like, to me, that sounds like a very exhausting relationship where you feel like you can't even be like honest with what you want to say because the person's everything is gonna turn into an argument. It like that's not it. So it's like now you're spending your time like, but if I say this, are they gonna have a reaction? If I say that, and now you're being dishonest not only to your partner but to yourself. Mm-hmm. So get counseling or break up. Those are the solutions.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yes, I love that because I've definitely been the person who was like oversensitive, Like, don't say nothing to me. Everything hurts my feelings.
Right.
Like, just so emotional. Like, everything felt like it was an attack against me. And then also, like, recognizing, like, okay, yeah, that is your own internal security. You just feel attacked because this happened to you when you were this age and you never let it go, and you didn't let go of that either, and you didn't let go of that. You actually didn't let go of a lot, so you should probably work on yourself. And then also, like, being mindful, like, that could be someone trying to manipulate the situation so they don't have to take accountability.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, it's good that you recognize that, like, it might be my own insecurities, but it's also up to this other person to say, like, all right, this might hurt her. I should cater what I'm saying. They can't just be like, my intentions were good, so we cool.
Right.
Your intentions don't always matter.
Yeah.
How the person feels still matters.
Yeah.
So even if you feel like, because like I've had conversations many times, and like people, like I've had with guy friends, and they're like, no, but my intention was that. Great, awesome, your intentions were cool. They still have feelings.
Right.
You still have feelings.
Right.
So you still have to address the feelings. I mean, if you say something like this and they're upset about it, you have to change how you say it.
Right.
You can't just be like, well, my intentions were cool. Your intentions don't matter if it hurts somebody.
Yeah.
Don't have good intentions and still be like,
I agree.
Like you can't just be like, fix your emotions.
Right.
Like,
that's not how it works.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like, what's the phrase? Like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, so it's true.
By the way, you guys, I'm so sorry. No, by the way, you guys,
no, go ahead.
What is your guys' IG? I don't know if you said it in the beginning, but I would like to follow you guys because I like you guys. I like the advice.
His is Metapoetic, METP. I'm a liar. You know I can't spell them.
Let me see if I can find it.
Metapoetic. That's him. And then mine is IMKAYBEE22.
Okay,
wow. I lost all that. I'll get that.
Wow. Okay, so
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. I found Mark. Okay.
So we'll change the name so you can see it. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I was going to get your, I was going to have everyone get your information and everything. We always do it at the ending of the podcast.
Listen,
oh, you're right.
We want to get to the information, okay? The people want to get to it.
Okay. Well, since Elon, I mean, it's all you now.
Okay, so it's all me. Okay, so I'm Elon, and so for me, in relationships, I guess for me, like if you ask any of my friends, they know like I'm not like great with relationships just because I get out of them too fast. I feel like I'm always the one that is ending it because I'm like, maybe I'm too defensive and I'm saying, that person tried to do this to me, or maybe I'm like, oh, I'm bored, or like I always have an excuse. But I feel like these days I was just trying to like be more grounded and say, okay, let me just take it slow. And so I guess that's what I'm trying to do these days. But I just feel like I guess I was gonna ask you guys, since you did mention your age, you said you guys are 35.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm 26. I think we're both still in the same generation. Technically, we're still millennials.
Yeah, we're both millennials. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know how you feel about maybe like the younger people and relationships, but like for me, people that are like maybe my age or younger, they're more they don't really conform to gender norms. Mm-hmm. And then I know that you said that you want to serve your man. Mm-hmm. And like I do too, but like I'm also kind of like I don't like gender roles, and so it's kind of confusing because I'm like, okay, I know this is how society functions. I know like the man is like has his place. He wants to feel like a man, and he doesn't want a woman to like make him feel like a woman. So it's like, I mean, how do you kind of like balance that? Because me, I feel like I want to do what I want to do. I'm, kind of a feminist, and then there's like this world out here where it's like, well, you're still the woman, act like a woman. So I don't know. What do you think about like the gender roles in a relationship?
Go ahead. I'll go with it. So The reality is, this is the reality of how we operate. There's no, the man does this, the woman does this in our relationship. No. No. That is the reality. Mm-hmm. The reality is, however, this is the best way a relationship works. Whoever is good at a certain thing should do it. Mm-hmm. Whoever's not good at it, something else should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how we operate.
So, meaning, if you, it's actually easier in a relationship if you take that all away mm-hmm. and just operate based off the person you're with.
Yeah.
Based off the person you're with, this is how I want to operate, and this is how you operate. And can we work that way? Mm-hmm. And that is it.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of the gender, this is how I want to operate, this is how you want to operate. And that's what matters. Stop worrying about what the world thinks about your relationship.
Yeah.
All that matters is how you two operate.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
That's it. Because the reality is, like, I remember for a long time, she was making more money than I was. Mm-hmm. Right? And, like, I remember I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, yeah, my daughter, she's young. I was like, yeah, but it comes to a point where, like, we have to, like, somebody has to stay at home with the daughter. Like, I'd probably be the one to stay at home because it just makes sense. Mm-hmm. She makes more money. Why would I take away her paycheck? Like, it makes no logical sense. Mm-hmm. And the person was like, and it was a woman. She was like, I don't understand. Yeah, I was like, but it doesn't make sense. Why would I not stay home and take the child and have it doesn't, like, gender roles. It makes things more complicated. Mm-hmm. Is when you're trying to act. Just however y'all operate operate based off of what y'all are. Stop worrying about what society is. Operate the best way y'all can operate.
Yeah. Like, for me, when I said I like to serve him, let's be very clear. A man that has dated me in the past does not know currently. I have never served a man a plate of food in my life besides him. Never. Because I felt like guys I dated who were West Indian, for, the most part, they had this very, like, heightened expectation of the woman cooks and the woman washes clothes, and I ain't gonna do nothing you expect me to do. If you're coming into the situation, like, I will never forget my ex's mother was like, you don't wash my son's clothes? I sure don't. I sure don't.
Really?
Your son's got a washing machine and soap work. Like,
wow.
What you think this is? I'm his girlfriend. We're not married. We're not engaged. I'm not washing his clothes. What you think this is? Please. And the fact that he had the expectation that I was going to do it further pushed me not to. Like, Mark has never expected me to wash his clothes, to cook food, to make him a plate, nothing. He's never expected it from me. He's never verbalized that he demands that from me. And I do it specifically because he does not demand that from me. If he started being like, well, woman, you need to be cooking this meal, that'd be the last meal I make. I promise you. It'll be the last one. Because entitlement to what I want to do bothers me. I do not like when people feel like I have to do something. Maybe I need to grow up, and that's okay. But the minute I feel like you're expecting something, that's over. Absolutely.
I want you to get caught up with what she said.
No, like, I mean, to be honest, this pandemic has been the most I've cooked in our entire relationship. Because when we lived in Long Island, he drove to and from work. I worked in Manhattan. So he would always get home before me. So, like, when we got married, the conversation was whoever gets home first starts cooking. Like, if you get home at 5:30 and I don't get there till 7, if you're waiting for me to cook, we ordering some food, because I'm not starting anything at 7 o'clock after being on the Long Island Railroad.
It just doesn't make sense.
It's stupid.
It just doesn't make sense.
So you mean to tell me you've been home for an hour and a half and you wait for me?
It just doesn't make logical sense.
It doesn't make logical sense.
She cook on the weekends because she's home.
Yeah, but during the weekdays,
it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And, like, going back to your point about, like, things that work in our relationship, like, for some people, the woman is the better financial manager. She should be the financial manager. Like, I know that's something
so true.
A lot of guys want to kind of take that role, but it ain't for everybody, baby. Like, you just have to play on your skills.
You're not good at it. You're not good
at it. And the family gonna be bankrupt because you trying to be, I'm the man, I pay the bill, sir. No, let's not.
That's so true.
We have a division of like chores around our house. Like, we both clean. I don't clean bathrooms. I made that very clear very early on, and so that was decidedly his chore, and, like, we cool with that. Like, that's what he does. But, like, we both clean, we both cook, we both, take the trash out, we both do everything. Like, it's not like I do this, he does. The only thing where it's a hard line is the bathroom. everything else. Like,
and she mostly washing dishes.
And he hates washing dishes. So I do the dishwashing, whatever the case is. But like, we found what works for us and what we're comfortable with doing. And, you know, I do like to do some of those traditional things, like I said, but I do it because I think he doesn't expect it or require it of me. So I find honor in it. But if he was like, you need to put my plate, that's crazy. The baby will. Because I was born petty and there's really nothing I can do about it.
Yo, you are funny as hell.
I'm just saying. I'm like, listen.
That's like the whole West Indian you.
I feel that though, like, oh, you want to cook, please?
I could not believe when his mother was like, you don't wash my son's clothes. I couldn't believe she was having the conversation. First of all, why are you telling your mother I don't wash your clothes? Like,
you don't wash my son's drawers?
What is this conversation? So, yeah.
And like, wow, yeah. That's some real stuff.
The wildness.
That's so true.
Let's go.
Especially about the financial stuff.
And then like wifely duties for girlfriend status. Like, why you keep playing with me?
To what?
Like, oh yeah, what I say?
Not me. Not here. Not Cleo didn't raise me to do nothing, so.
Two stush.
I admire the girls who do it, truly, honestly. Go with God, but not.
Amen.
Not me. I would never encourage you.
You're not the only one. Even my mom is like that. She'd be like, hey, boy, you know, me ain't cooking today. You better figure it out. I'm like, sheesh. I was going to ask you.
It be like that. My grandmother used to do that. On Friday, she would like, I hope you kids had the meals for the week because I'm good on Saturday. Don't look for nothing from me. I don't know what to tell you, respectfully. And, you know, you just got to figure it out. So, yeah, I kind of feel like island people just roll different. They just roll different.
It's true. Yeah.
No, you're not lying. My mom's Jamaican. My dad's not. I think that's actually a good thing in this case. But
you got balance.
I'm here for all Jamaican man slander, so go on with it.
I'm crying.
I receive it. No, I almost didn't talk to him because I thought he was Jamaican. I was like, listen, before him, I dated 2 Haitian guys. And the other one was Jamaican. So I was through with the Islanders, like as a general principle, like it wasn't for me.
I don't blame you. Yeah, it just has not worked for me.
I love them, truly, honestly.
Love them from a distance.
That's it right there, honey. That's it right there.
Yes, baby.
I take offense.
Yeah, said that
It's all
right. You're kind of nice American girl.
I can't do it, respectfully.
I'm good.
Okay. So what's your take on business and pleasure?
Hold on, pleasure. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. What do you mean by business?
Mixing business with pleasure.
Like dating your coworker.
Yes. No, I'm talking about what is your take on? Do you believe mixing business with pleasure?
So, like, if a couple starting a business, like, should they start a business and be in a relationship at the same time?
Well, we started.
We have.
So that's what we did.
Yeah,
So,
I think again it goes back to like communication and understanding about who's going to do what and and setting the expectations from the jump and kind of knowing when to turn off the business part in the business conversation and when to turn on the us as a couple conversation. Because it can get annoying, madam.
Okay, all right. So that question was kind of
so like
okay.
I have another question.
No,
hold on, Naira.
All right.
So I think when it comes down to it, I think
and don't be doing it with no boyfriend or girlfriend either. That's stupid. Don't set up no type of business entity with somebody that you're not already legally tied to.
Because that's bad business.
Because when you breaking up, what you doing now? Y'all having a custody battle over a business? No,
crazy.
Come on now. With a boyfriend? That's too much.
What I will say is this. I think the closer you are with somebody, the more paperwork that is important. The closer you are with somebody, the more you want to have things laid out. Because then you can be like, this is business. This has nothing to do with this part. I'm acting this way because it's laid out somewhere. The problem is the closer somebody is with somebody, they usually have less paperwork. So now, like, people feel like you're doing things out of like emotions or you're doing it out of that. Like, no, this is just we're just doing this. This is how the business operates. The business operates this way, like this, and this. Us as friends or us as relationships, we operate this way. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's similar to I guess are you all friends and you're to start this podcast?
How this even started?
Alright, so
I'm just a co-host.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I kind of popped up. I say, hey,
that's
guys,
a lie. That's a lie.
visiting.
That's a lie, everyone. Just let you. That's a lie. That she's just a co-host.
I'm a visitor.
Okay.
That's a lie.
The reason why I'm asking,
she's a normal.
I know that like when you come together, you have an idea, right? And like you want to make it more. It's very generic how it comes. More organic.
Yeah.
More organic how things come in. So you kind of doing things and everything. But there is a certain point when it becomes real. There's a certain point when business comes in. And at that point, you have to be like, all right, let's lay out all business so that it won't ruin our friendship. Yeah. There's a certain point when it gets to that point. Because if you don't do that, it can destroy friendships and destroy relationships because you haven't laid it out. Yeah. There's a certain point where you're like, all right, now this is the cuts. This is what we do here. This is what we're doing. This is what we're meeting. Yeah. This is the rules. Yeah. These are the bylaws for how we're going to operate in this business. And then when we're not in the business, now we can be friends.
Or in relationship or whatever the case is. But yeah, it's very easy to blur the lines. And if you don't kind of establish it like either at the very beginning or very early on, once you see it start taking off.
Once you see it, it really like gets to a certain point.
Yeah.
It's important to and same thing operates here. Like we have like laid out percentages of how everything is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Nairon. So it's
all right. I'm gonna get that.
All right, come on with your question.
Yeah, he was waiting patiently.
Very patiently.
Ever so patiently. No, so it's a two-parter. It was my first question is
let my man get his two-parter off.
Why are you messing with him?
All right.
So
that's how you said it.
How long were you dating before you decided to get married? And when was the moment that you knew, sir, that you wanted to propose and marry this woman?
So we
dated for
a month before we became a relationship. Yeah. Right. We started a relationship in 2010. We got engaged in 2013.
Yeah, so it was like a little under 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the moment that you knew that you wanted to propose?
I knew I wanted to propose way before we actually did it. I just needed the money to do it, and I wanted us to have certain financially together. And I know it's a very like guy answer to say that, but it's kind of like I just want to make sure a lot of times what we tend to do is we want to like make sure that like you're not gonna have money for everything, but you just want to make sure that like if something goes wrong, we have stuff laid out.
Okay, so then I guess a more elaborate question would be, why her? What made her stand out that you thought, oh man, when I'm in a better financial position, she's the one I want to marry?
I think that started early when we first were around stories, because like she's one of the very few, if not only person who kind of like engaged me intellectually a lot. Who very she engaged me intellectually. We had a lot of deep intellectual conversations, because like it's annoying to like try to talk to somebody and you feel like I got to teach them about everything. Like I'm very much about like education, about civil rights, activism, certain things, right? I don't want to have to explain it to you everything. I don't have to explain to you about certain things that are going on in the world or certain things. Like I appreciate like we both like our first few dates were go to a restaurant and then watch comedy specials. Right. That's what we did. We enjoyed like a lot of the same comedy specials. I enjoyed our thoughts about religion. We had like a lot of the same information about religion. I enjoyed that we had the same outlook on like how we tend to look at the world the same with certain So there's a lot of things that we interact with. Do we have like disagreements? Of course. But like, I don't think that there were any, I am always confused with someone who's together for 6 months and they argue all the time.
Yeah.
That like if you're together with somebody for only 6 months and you argue all the time, it's kind of
just break up.
It's only 6 months. Like I'm not saying everything should be fantastic, but you shouldn't be arguing all the time over 6 months.
Y'all barely know each other. Y'all representatives are still in the building at 6 months. What y'all arguing about?
So like you tell me you're in a honeymoon stage and you're still like angry.
Like I should break up.
like you understand what I'm saying? Like and I understand like it's just y'all should still be kind of like working things out. Like everything was good for a long time.
Yeah.
Like and our arguments were nothing like crazy.
No.
Even when we had arguments.
No.
It wasn't like it never resulted in like like with no screaming at you. It was disagreements that we worked through.
Yeah.
So like I think that being able to interact and like learning and we were both growing together. So like I would grow as a person, as a spouse, and she would grow as a spouse. And if we're both growing and we tend to be growing in the same way, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So there was never a moment where you were talking to her or you were around her and you were just like, oh my gosh, I want to marry this woman.
No, that like I said, that was early on. That was like in the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah, like
in the beginning?
Yeah, like
because and I don't know if you've ever like and like my story is not an uncommon story. There's a lot of people I know who like in the beginning, but you're not gonna like propose at the time. You're like, am I wilding?
Yeah.
Am I
no.
Like we said I love you to each other like in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And meant it. And I will never forget the moment I realized it. I said, I am not trying to fall in love with anybody because, baby, it's okay. Because I had just gotten out of a relationship. Because when I met Mark, I had just graduated from college and was starting my master's program. And so I had dated the same person all through college. So I was like, yes, I'm in my 20s. I'm about to see what's out here in these streets because I've been locked down all through college. That was really where I was mentally because my advice to teenage girls going to college, don't date anybody. Be single. It's entirely too many people out there to meet to be tied down to somebody all of college. Mm-hmm. I guess my life worked out the way it was supposed to, but I literally met Mark at a time where I was not looking for a partner, and neither was he. He had just broken up with somebody maybe 3 months before, and I remember a conversation we had like amongst a group of friends. He was like, yeah, I'm kind of on a sabbatical from people right now. But it was like, we just had a connection, and like, we just started hanging out, going out every day. And I remember we were going to Culpeppers in Brooklyn. It's a Bayesian restaurant. And we were riding the Long Island Railroad and we were sitting across from each other. And I looked at him and I was like, God damn it. Like I knew it. Like I knew I was in love. And like, he looked at me, like, it's like, we're kind of telekinetic a little bit. Or not telekinetic, telepathic a little bit. And it's like, I could see on the look on his face, he knew what I was thinking and he was thinking the same thing. And so we said it like later on that night. And I think I said it first and I was like, if he was saying that,
2 weeks is really early. That's a huge risk that you're putting out there. You know?
I would not recommend this to anyone on the.
I would recommend it to anyone.
I would not. I also say like
if somebody were to say that to me, I'd be like, girl, that's nuts. You shouldn't.
And I realized we also both have like a very older way of like approaching relationships and dating.
Excuse me.
Number one, and we also were like. We just didn't. We both had like a no time for nonsense kind of thing because we were like, it's gonna be. It was not gonna be anything. Like because we came in like, let's just see what it is. I'm not trying to play games because if it's nothing, I'm moving on. So like we got like there was no like, oh, I got the phone number. Let me wait a few days. Like now I'm calling right now. So what's going on? We call like none of the norms of dating.
Yeah, I didn't play any of the usual games, and
none of the games. We were like, let's just see if this works out now. Cause we don't have time. Like I'm like, I said I'm on sabbatical. Let me just see how it works. Right. And if it doesn't work, I can just move on.
Yeah, like all the things I would normally do to try to impress a new guy, I didn't do.
None of that stuff.
None of it. Like he got regular schmegular degular me. Like that's exactly what he got. He liked it. That's cool. because I wasn't going into it like I want to be with this guy, I want to date him. Like it was just like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Like it was very generic and just not generic, but it was just very natural the way we interacted.
So if I can understand what you're saying.
Hold on, Nyron. Let everybody else get a chance.
Oh man, it's a two-part. It's just two-parter though.
Yeah, exactly.
The three-part.
I think it's 3 parts now.
Let me finish the sequel.
Let everybody else get a chance to take questions, and then you can go.
He knows Nyron. He already preempted us. He's like 50 question Nyron over here. So
he did say that. He did. That is how he laid it out. So I mean,
okay, all right. I didn't know I came with a warning label. My fault. I'm sorry.
No, it's not a warning label. It was just more
God.
like
word counts.
What's up? That's what it is. Just a notice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait. Does anybody have questions?
Not really. I was
let you finish your sequel.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No. So if I can understand it, I don't know. I'm assuming you asked your future wife out, but you guys are sitting on the train. You guys date for a little while. 2 weeks in, you're sitting with each other, and you just go, "Oh man, I'm in love with this person." In 2 weeks. It
can happen.
Wait. Hold on. Hold on for a second. Wait. You don't have to get into all that now, okay? You don't have to get into all that. You don't have to. But if you want to, you can. It's up to you.
How good was that Asian food is my question.
I'll say this.
You ain't never had a good meal, baby?
I think when you have a connection, you notice the connection. I think a lot of times we, like, to your point, we both were like, this is not early.
Yeah.
Like, because like many times we're in relationships with people, we might feel it, but we're not gonna say nothing. Like we're like, all right, it must be just gas or something, right? It's all gas. But it was just a good day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How do you know it wasn't a good day though?
It was
Okay, Nyron. Okay,
because they married.
But
okay,
also, what's also very interesting about me and Kristin, and I talked about this yes, what did I talk about? Like since the first day, I guess since that like Monday that we met and we said we're gonna like start talking, I have seen her every single day since then.
Like short of
we have seen each other at least once a day.
Yes, every single day while we were dating. Like short of like us me going to like a conference or something for work, or him going on a conference. We have been together.
I've seen her at least once.
Damn near every day.
Like we weren't like none of the.
This wasn't 2 weeks on the phone. Like we were seeing each other every day.
Yeah, like all those days, and when we didn't see each other, we were on the phone.
Yeah. So
like all those dating things they tell you to do, like don't push too hard, everything. We didn't care about any of those things.
Right.
We were like, I like you, we're gonna talk. And if I don't like you anymore, we won't talk anymore. Like that was it.
That was really it.
Yeah. That's our love. Like
all those dating norms they tell you to do, we did none of this.
Right. Like all of that. Oh, make the guy wait 90 days. Girl, if you want to, just go ahead. The 90, it don't even matter. It don't matter.
Okay.
It don't. Like, I'm just like, that is super cool, but it don't matter.
The reason why, I understand the concept of the 90 days. The concept of the 90 days is it can cloud your mind.
Facts. Big facts.
Right? It can make you think that everything, it will help you, it will make you cloudy to the things that are wrong that are in a relationship.
Yeah, you make you cloudy to the red flags.
So like there was to be red flags and you're like, nah, but this was good. So like you kind of push aside those red flags. So that is the purpose of the 90 days. So I understand the concept. Mm-hmm. Like you want to make sure you can consciously see those red flags.
But a guy can still be trash on day 91.
Yeah. That doesn't take away the being trash.
Right.
But it's
trash dudes be patient too.
Yeah.
Yeah, real good at it.
Yeah.
Both things can happen at the same
time. So like I think it's important to like know like the reason for that the 90 days or for waiting is so you can see the red flags.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Without being clouded by the sexual aspect of things.
Yeah.
But I just feel like this is a very unique situation.
Yeah, like
I would not, if my daughter came to me and told me, oh, I want to marry this guy that I've been dating for 2 weeks, I'd be like, I don't think so, sis. Respectfully, I don't think so. And that might be hypocritical, and I don't care. Because like if I had to like look at my own situation and explain it to myself, I'd be like, girl, what? Like I look back at it like that was nuts. Like absolute nuts. Like I know for a fact that we were talking about getting married like round about the 6 month mark.
Yeah.
But like I was still in school, so like it was just like I didn't have my life together yet, like professionally. So there was stuff we needed to work on before we got there. But
wait,
like,
so what you're saying is like at the 6 month mark, if everything was fine, you were like ready to propose and like.
Yes.
Let's have that conversation.
Okay.
So,
Myron, that's it, Myron.
At 6 months, I knew that I wanted to be with her for an extended period of time, right? So I was like, if we just weren't where we were supposed to be financially, right? Like I'm glad we didn't get engaged because we still learned a lot more from each other in those times.
Yeah.
So it was important for the time.
Yeah.
The time was important.
Yeah.
Because we learned a lot more.
Yeah.
But like being with them, I was like, everything seems to be working out. Like I said, we saw each other every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like a lot of things were like working out. So like we had that thought, but we weren't proposing because like we weren't where we were supposed to be.
Yeah, but like I feel like if we were where we wanted to be, we would not have like dated as long.
Yeah.
Like we probably maybe within a year would have gotten married.
That's amazing.
Okay.
If life were set up there, like if we had met each other and had this story now at 35, yeah. What's the point in waiting?
Yeah. And this last thing, because I know you're gonna move. When you were saying, what's your name again? Elon. Yeah, Elon. When you were saying like you keep like dating and like I don't think it's a wrong thing to like I don't like something about this person and move on. That's not a terrible thing. So I don't want you to like feel that way either.
Right.
Yeah.
Because things that might be tolerable for another person are not tolerable for you, and that's your standards, and that's cool too.
Yeah. It's okay to be like this person has nothing I want. And move on.
Right.
Like
because I'm in that situation right now. I think I was telling Diamond Cash, oh my God. So you know how the guy is like the one that's really horny and then they wanna like do it right away. So like I'm the guy in the relationship.
Listen, ain't nothing wrong with that.
I am horny and like he doesn't want to like and like
yeah, how you live, boo?
We just met. Okay, we met like a month ago, and like I did fall really hard for him too, like really fast, everything. I think he fell really fast for me too, but he's the type, he says, well, you know, sex is sacred and, you know, things like that. And he wants to wait. And I'm like, you know, I can't, it's so hard. And I guess I know how guys feel now, but like, I just don't know. It's just so hard. But you know what? Diamond Cash should respect his decision.
My question is for you: is what Asian restaurant did you go to?
Yes, respect his decisions and also your still single.
No. Don't Elon, that's down. Hold on.
What?
Elon, just let you know this is going out to the world. Just let you know.
Yes.
It's live.
No, it's
we know
cool.
this.
It's live. It's okay.
Yeah.
Elon.
Oh, okay. He probably listening like, oh.
Elon, what Asian restaurant did you go to? I need to know the name of the Asian restaurant you went to.
Hold on. Wait. Before y'all answer Naron's question, let Phonetic and TC and Elon go.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a question. It's just like, I guess maybe has anyone ever felt like that? Like,
yeah, girl.
Everybody's
like that right now. Like, I ain't getting none.
Oh no.
No, you know what's funny? I think that like because society of like you was bringing up gender roles and norms, it's this reality that was created where it's like only men have a sex drive. Like, ain't wrong. I have organs too. I feel too.
Right.
I get aroused too.
Right.
And like not making yourself feel bad for that. Of course, like you definitely want to have discernment in any given situation. Maybe this person is just, there to teach you some sort of restraint or like, to teach you to be more patient because you got that, you got that Aries energy, like you're ready to go, like, what's up? And maybe that's where that situation, that person is there to show you like, okay, no, like this is how you are able to be patient, wait for something to play out so you can really see before you get too deep into it, like, is this good for you?
Right.
And even with, you know, with what Mark and Kristin were saying, you know, about like, you know, if you wanna you know, do what you want to do, then do it. But like I like being, you have to be okay with that. Like I feel like the reason they were able to articulate their love to each other was so soon is because they felt that. And when you feel something, that's you really being in tune with that that aspect of yourself that has this intuition, like, okay, something is telling me this is good for me.
Right.
And it's really important to be aware of that, because you can want to do something, but if you're not really getting down to the bottom of like, okay, how does this person actually make me feel when I'm with them? You know, and that's really important, because you might want to do something for the sake of, you know, fulfilling the desire. But if that person doesn't really make you feel, you know, a certain way, it can only lead you down a road where you're like, I regret that, or I wish I didn't do that. And you don't want that either. Which I've been through, like, all these cases. Like, I've moved too fast. I'm the first one to be like, I don't like that. I can't do this. Like, I'm seriously single, and it's okay. Like, I'm okay with being that friend now, and I used to not be, but I realized, I just don't tolerate certain stuff, and I don't need to. I don't need to put up with things that other people put up with just for the sake of being in a relationship. Right. Because I'm just going to be miserable, and I'm not going to be my best self. I'm not going to be able to be bubbly. I'm not going to be able to make people laugh. And I've been there. I've been the bitter Betty because I chose, you know, to be in the relationship just because I wanted to be in a relationship. And it took so much out of me, and it took me a long time to really rebuild myself and to get back to who I really was. And you just, you know, like, life has to teach you that, you know, and sometimes you get that and sometimes you don't, and you have to learn it. And so, you know, you know, what y'all are saying, Mark and Kristin, I love it. And, you know, Elon, you know, like, just, you know, be in tune with what you're feeling. Be in tune with what you're feeling. It's okay if you like, you know, you horny Henrietta. It's okay. You know,
so these names are sending me.
I'm so bad at that nickname just now.
To the pearly gates. I cannot.
Maybe you just need to go to the gym more and, like, you know, hit that treadmill. Like, okay, boom, like, we working it out. Okay, like, I got the energy. Channel it.
Yeah, what I will say, like,
I was gonna say something toxic, but you said something. I was gonna be like, yo, call some old work while you waiting on new work.
I can't with everybody.
That's really toxic. So don't do that. Go to the gym.
Oh my.
I'm sorry.
But what I was saying was like, that this is time to kind of like figure out, do you want to be the person? And I think there's like a lot of different levels to being with somebody. Like, you gotta explore. Of course, you want to explore how they treat you and how they are around you. But you also want to explore how they are around other people and how they're around you. You want to explore how they like react to certain issues that are going on, because like those are like little small things that people don't think about. Because like people don't like think about how does this person react to like certain women's rights things, how they react to certain like Black Lives Matter things, like how do they react to
like, do you really want to lay down with somebody who's going to argue to death that Blue Lives Matter is a real concept? Like, come on now.
Oh yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
I can't. And, like, no offense to anybody who's a police officer or has police officer friends, but what is blue life? It's a smirk, okay?
But you know, arguing could be an aphrodisiac.
What happened?
Arguing could be an aphrodisiac. You know, that back and forth.
That's a little toxic. But
it's quite true.
Angry sex? Oh, he's into angry sex. Oh, okay, Nyron.
If that's how people live, then that's their business.
You like to have that conversation, arguments during it. Okay.
I think it's bad for your heart in the long term, you know, or your liver. I forget where their angry emotion sits, but it sits in one of your organs. You don't want that.
Your liver gonna get messed up.
Yeah, your liver. Thank you. I knew it was one of them.
Now you only got one of those. I can't play them kind of games.
I don't want nobody on liver.
You got 2 kidneys, only 1 liver.
Yeah, only 1 liver. I gotta keep that.
I need that.
Yeah, like so like this might be a time to just kind of explore that. See how they are. because like then you're like, oh, this person disgusts me.
Right.
Maybe not.
Right. And then you don't want to be like at a point in your life where you're like, that one doesn't count, neither does that one.
Not that one.
Damn.
Listen, I've started eliminating certain interactions from my memory. I'm like, that never happened. If they say it, they're a goddamn lie. Never happened. Never. Don't. You don't want to get to that point. You're like, what was that? I'm just pretending that never happened. Just erase that. Backspace.
So, like, you know, what was the worst and most challenging relationship that you've ever had?
That's a good one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think the one before him. Because why you get your head down like that?
No, I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yo, you're bad, funny Kristin.
No, I just asked because like I'm gonna explain why I asked in a second, but it was because I knew it was over about halfway through it. Like I will never forget, like because me and the guy were together for about 4 years, and I remember clear as day, summer of 2007. God talked to me, no lie, no exaggeration. This isn't going anywhere. Those were the exact words I heard. But nothing was wrong at the time. Like we were in a good place. So I had no reason to believe, put it over there. I had no reason to think this is the time to break up or something's wrong. But I've learned over the course of my life that God tells me things in advance of me getting hurt as a way to get me to escape, but I don't be listening because I'm hard-headed. And, you know, at the end, I'd be like, yeah, I should have had listened back then. So I remember hearing that clear as day. Like I was just sitting on the bed one day and it was just like, this ain't going nowhere. And, you know, I didn't listen. We kept dating. Then, and it was looking back, I can say it was like a toxic relationship in terms of the way we talked to each other. Like we would talk to each other very crazy. There were a few times where it was like, I'm not like this anymore. But in my former life, I had a tendency to swing on men. Disclaimer.
Back in the day.
I had a tendency to swing on anybody, man or woman. And like, he knew that if you said certain words to me, violence would follow. And so, I don't like Hancock, you know, like when he would say, stop calling me an a-hole, and people kept doing it, and then violence would follow. That's me with the B word. Like, I don't know what it is about it that triggers me, but I'd be like, what happened now? And so he did that on like we were just pushing each other's buttons. It was just a really bad dynamic. And I remember he went out of town with some friends. And back then, Facebook would tell you when someone friended someone, like when someone you were friends with friended someone else. And I noticed that he friended 3 people, 2 guys and a girl. And again, voice of God, clear as day. Look into that. And never once before that had I ever had a suspicion, a feeling, anything. Sure enough, I look into it and I see all this texting back and forth. And you know, I kind of ignore it because I'm kind of like, I was technically snooping. So how do I get this off in a question form without looking like I was snooping? Hadn't come up with one. So I just kind of let it rock. I didn't say anything. Then we went to his brother's house for Thanksgiving. Was it Thanksgiving, Christmas, one of them holidays? And we were getting ready to go out to the store. And he had his laptop up, and I guess he was checking his like bank account information to make sure, you know, to make sure everything was on up and up and we could go do what we had to do. And I saw a charge for a hotel, and I was like, okay. So for 2 days, we went back and forth, mad toxic. My liver was probably very damaged as a result of this back and forth. And basically it came out that him and this person had been in this clandestine relationship for a couple of months. Basically when the inkling was check into that, that's when it started. And so basically we kept being together for a year after that. And it was like, I knew he was still dealing with the girl, but he would be telling me he wasn't, but like I would keep finding things. And then finally I remember talking to a friend of mine and she was like, girl, who are you? Why are you sitting up here doing this? And I was like, you're right. What am I?
Your girlfriend said to tell you that.
No, like, and this is someone that had been my friend since I was like 15 or 16. And she was like, girl, me does not recognize you. And I was like, sis, me either. And so I finally was like, yo, we should probably just pack this up and take this home. Respectfully. And the funny thing is, even before we actually broke up, maybe like 6 months before, I had said, we shouldn't do this anymore. because we don't trust each other. You doing whatever you doing. I'm like, I wasn't raised to live like this. And, you know, he was very manipulative. And, you know, he was like, at one point he legit threatened to kill himself over trying to break up with him.
Narcissist.
And I should have been like, okay, go ahead. Because people who say that 9 times out of 10 aren't really going to do it.
That happened to me before. He would kill himself.
Oh my God.
I remember one time.
Hey.
I remember like he went somewhere and drank like crazy. And then me and his brother had to go get him from like the train station because he was like sloppy, falling down drunk, like just a mess. And I was just like,
he's ugly drunk.
Like, what is my life right now? This is the ghetto. What is it? The ghetto. And so finally I broke up with him. Like I just called him, like what, oh, actually before that, like after the whole drunken incident, I'm gonna kill myself, whatever. Finally I called the girl, because like we shared a phone at the time and I had her phone number and I never used it. And I'm not the type of woman to be like, I want to come to you as well. I'm not that girl. But I don't like when people play in my face and lie like I'm stupid either. That upsets me. Don't do that. So I called the girl and I was like, so sis, I just want to confirm some details with you. Just so that when I present the facts to old boy, the math is mathing. So I was like, based on what I've seen, this is when y'all started talking. This is when y'all did this. This is when y'all did that. And I guess he had coached her in the event that I called. And so she was like, she was kind of giving me canned answers. And I was like, oh, people think I am dumb. Okay. So I said, everything you're not saying is telling me what I need to know. So I got off the phone with her. I called him and I said, we're not doing this anymore. Like just as a general, I'm done. I'm finished. Whatever, we done. And I don't think he accepted it. And so it was like, I remember one time, like Mark and I had gone out and like my friends were calling me like, yo, this dude is hitting me up trying to figure out where you at. What's da 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 da. And like, it was like crazy. Like he was scaring my friends because they were like, is he okay? Because he's calling me. He's pulling up to me on campus like, where's Kristin? Da 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 da. Like he would pop up at me at my job because at the time I was working at the college I was attending as like a graduate assistant, and like he would pull up to my office. I remember one time he came and brought me flowers, and I was like, bro, I'm still not talking to you. Like he tried to get me to go out with him one time with his niece, and I went to go see some little Chipmunks movie or something because I was like, I'm never going to see this niece again because this relationship is over, and I had bonded with her over the time that we were together. So when I finally told him, look, I'm kind of talking to someone else, i.e. him, my guy lost it and went on like a rampage, like trying to basically like tarnish my character and like ruin my friendships with people. Like it was just the wildest of it. I've never experienced anything like that, and I never thought that someone I had been with for that length of time would react that way to something that they essentially caused. And, you know, the reason I asked why Mark put his head down, because Mark remembers like that period when I had just started talking to him, but this guy was still trying to get back with me. Like it was a lot of craziness going on where I felt like the guy was trying to figure out who Mark was. And I remember we went to a party one time and he tried to pull up on Mark. And I was like, wow. Like, because he kept staring.
Are we doing
at me
that now?
Mind you, he's at the party with the girl he'd been cheating on me with the whole time, but kept saying, so we had this party together. I'm posted. In my former life, I'm a swing type of chick. So I'm standing in the party. He's staring. Every time he come around, he's staring. I'm like, so what's up, yo? What's up? And he was like, you know what? I think you a whack ass B. And all I remember was and him grabbing my arm, like, nah. And then after that, he tried to press up on me, and I'm like, no. I need you to understand we're gonna fight in this party today. So like be clear. So it was very tough. Very tough.
Clear.
I'm no longer that person. I no longer swing and fight. I don't do that anymore.
So this is the problem.
What's the problem?
The problem with that whole situation was, number one, I don't go to Hofstra.
Right. Yeah.
Hofstra?
Yeah, that's where I went to college at.
Me too, girl.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Like, I don't go to Hofstra. Number one. Number two, I have nobody here. He got all his friends there. I gotta go. She's not thinking.
I'm mad at you.
She's not thinking.
I'm mad at you.
You gotta live to tell the story.
Very smart.
Right.
No,
exactly.
Right. In retrospect, that was factual. But yeah, like it was just dumb toxic. That whole situation. I'm just like, I look back and I'm like, when I heard that very clear, get out of there, I should have listened, because what happened, like after that, I could never have imagined would have been the outcome of a relationship with a person that I ultimately did not think was a bad person. They just weren't the person for me. What about you?
Mine was, so I was previously engaged.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Oh wow.
Yes.
He likes to get engaged to people, but he married me. These are jokes. These are jokes. Jokes. Big jokes. Okay. My man's disappeared. Where you at though? These are jokes. These are big jokes. Big jokes.
So I was engaged, and the person, she wasn't a terrible person. She just wasn't for me. Right? Meaning, like, I got engaged to her because I was with her for a certain amount of time, and I just felt like after a certain amount of time, you should probably just get engaged to somebody because you're with me. So I was like, we've been together, but like that stupid song. We've been together for so long, might as well do it.
Jagged Edge, maybe at the altar. What is it? We ain't get no younger. We
Let's get married.
Yeah. So it's like, which is a trash line. Yes. But it's like
trash stance in general.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it was out of time where I was like, that's what you're supposed to do. After being with somebody for a certain amount of time, you just get married. Like like we like it was like someone cheated on me, no one was abusive, and everything. So it was like, should we just keep going? I think because so it's kind of like, but like I think, but I don't know if I was really into a relationship at all. But I just felt like I'm obligated to be engaged to this person and do that. And then I had a conversation with my sister. She was like, "But do you want to be with her?" I was like, "Yeah, but I've been with her all this time. Like, shouldn't I just?" And she was like, "Nah, but you don't want to do it." And like that was the first time that I put in my mind. I was like, I don't need a reason to not be with somebody. I don't need a dramatic reason to not. If I don't want to be with them, I don't have to do it. And I think, and I've told people ever since that all the time. I was like, people keep trying to find a dramatic reason to break up with somebody. They feel like I have to like demean that person or demonize that person for me to break up with them. You can just be like, I don't think we could be together. We should be together anymore and not be together. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. They don't have to be like a terrible person, the worst person ever. They can just be like, I don't want to be with this person anymore. And that is good enough. But like we stay in these relationships because we feel like I've been with them for a certain amount of time. They know me, I know them. So why not just stay together?
Right. And
the reality is, if you don't want to be with them, just don't be with them. You don't need a big reason for it.
Right. I agree, because it's like that makes me wonder, like, how many people are married today that were married off of an obligation? Like, think about that for a second. Like, people just was like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do, so like
I've been together for as long.
Yeah, and I think that was part of why I didn't break up with the guy too, because I'm like, we've been together for 2-3 years, like nothing's wrong. Like, we can work through it. Struggle love is together. But like, you know, I feel like we do have I feel like a lot of language around relationships sometimes is that a struggle is necessary, or like you have to go through ups and downs for the relationship to have weight. And that's not really true.
What kind of struggle matters?
Yeah.
It means a struggle means something y'all two work out together.
Yeah.
Not struggle in the relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that we need to overcome together.
Right.
Not the relationship.
Yeah.
You overcome something else.
Yeah.
You don't have to overcome this relationship.
Right. Exactly.
We have to overcome this situation that has appeared to us.
Yeah.
Not because I messed up.
Yeah.
That's not overcome.
Yeah. Agreed.
You don't have to overcome my mistake. You have to overcome something that we see.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's go. All right. So I feel like we definitely pressed on time. I feel like I need more time with everyone, if that's okay. I just feel I have so much questions. Is it okay with everyone? Is that okay? I need more time.
I got some time.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I'm
good.
We good.
Okay.
I'm all about questions.
All right.
we heard.
We know that. All right. So you know what? I'm gonna just ask 3 questions all in one.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get a little agreed, disagreeable, and I know probably Phonetic and Elon gonna get at me for this about this question. Okay, so all right, I'm ready for the shotgun to come at me. All right, so the first question is talk about like we work so much, and when we work so much, for 5, out of those 5 days, we get so tired to the point where for our significant other, we barely have time for them. It's like the leftovers we give them. So talk more about that. And the one I'm gonna get, a bullet and a shotgun is this. And this is a question.
Think about it, brother. Think about it.
So this question.
Hours already. You're not normal.
You about to get shot. I see it.
I'm ready.
So this question is specifically for Kristin. So,
okay.
Specifically, all right. So we need. I'm not even going to say we need. I'm just going to say in general, but I'm not going to generalize anything. So when we be attracted to someone, and I'm talking about the beginning stage now. When we talk about the beginning stages of things, and we get to this point where it's too late. For example, let's say a guy comes to this girl, he asks her to get on a date and everything. Of course, free food, she's gonna get and everything. And he gives her flowers. Then after all, he wants to, he wants to give him her, her all. And then she says,
so you are talking in riddles. If you don't just say
hold on. I got you.
You dragging it.
You giving me a lot of lead up, Poppy. What's the question?
Get to the point, Rick.
All right. Then, all right, Kristin, I got you. And then after she says, well, you too nice.
You're too nice?
Hold on, I'm not finished. And after that, she'd be like, you know what? Hold on.
I'm just writing it down.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's write this down.
Hold on. TC know what I'm talking about. TC know what I'm talking. Then she says,
I can't say no more. This is you.
And after that, here go TC. Listen, TC, we about to get spicy. And then after that, she says, well, you too nice. I need that aggressiveness, right?
Okay.
So then what she does is, I'm not even going to say what she does, but it's like, don't you think that's kind of like what women, or you can say men too, because men do this too, as a like, oh, I want something aggressive. So maybe I'm going to get with this person because I want to fix her up a project. I want to fix this up project. And instead of, actually, you know what? I want the high value person. Instead of, I don't want this person because he's too nice. If you understand what I'm saying, you can get to that.
This is a sphinx we're talking to. We're talking to a sphinx.
And then you said that again? I didn't hear.
What?
Please, somebody say something.
Nah, what you said, Naron?
We're talking to a sphinx in riddles. You not know who the Sphinx is? In ancient Egypt? Thank you.
Are you talking about the statues that look like a dog?
Yeah. The face of a person and the body of the lion and the wings of an eagle.
Now the third question, final question I had was not technically the final for my man Metapoetic is, and I see a lot of guys we get into this, right? Where we be like, you know what, this is the woman that I want, but what happens if this doesn't happen? What happens if this doesn't work? And we have kids. I don't want to end up with like 2 or 3, baby moms. And this is, something that happens when it comes to men too. We tend to have this protectiveness in ourselves. So That's from Metapoetic. But yeah, you can answer all those questions. I'm ready for the shotgun. I'm ready for the shotgun.
Maybe you should go back.
I didn't hear about the last one specifically.
Okay, so the first, we'll do the first question. The first question is about working times and things like that. So we both work hard now, and I think it's always a pastor said this to us, and it's very important, is to have a date night often.
Mm-hmm.
Date nights are
weekly, monthly, whatever it is, however you set it up.
Just to have it often, because you need to come back and be like, hey, how do you feel about this relationship?
Mm-hmm. What's going on with you?
How do you feel about what's going on? What we're going? Like, you're checking.
Yeah.
Because like you don't, because like what happens a lot of times is you'll be in a relationship and you don't know that your spouse is over it.
Mm-hmm. You
don't know that the person you're with is over this relationship because you don't have that conversation. You don't know where they are, where their head is. Yeah. So you want to check in. So I think the date night and checking in is important. And just take time away. Make sure you spend time with each other. Mm-hmm. Like if you're both working tired and everything throughout the week, it's fine. And take some time to the weekend. Mm-hmm. Make sure you take some vacation time to go out and do something. Like you have to make time, because if you don't nurture your relationship, it'll die. Yeah. So you have to nurture your relationship.
Yeah, I think another piece too is communicating what your work is and what it looks like to your spouse. I think because of the pandemic and us both being home, we have a very clear understanding of what each other's work entails. When we were both going to work in person, like we kind of knew, but it was also like we would do our check-ins and be like, oh, these are the things I'm working on at work. These are the things you're working on at work. So I know, like, if I call him during the day and he doesn't pick up the phone, I know that it's because he's like at a meeting doing this, or he's working really hard on this thing or that thing. So like kind of letting your partner know like exactly what their work is about and what the expectations are for them is really important. Like we talk to each other, I think especially more now because we have a daughter, and, for a while daycare was closed. So it was like trying to balance who's going to kind of take care of her during the day. Like we had to have conversations like, okay, what does your day look like? When are your meetings? And so we have those conversations on a daily basis. Like we literally, before we got on this podcast, we were like, okay, so for example, we have to do grocery shopping. We normally do grocery shopping on Sunday nights because don't nobody be in the store. But that's our
smart.
Don't nobody be in, and they always restocking for Monday. So if you go to the stores like 7:30 on Sundays, empty. So that's when we normally grocery shop. But because we were coming on this podcast, we were like, okay, when can we go? So we literally pulled up our calendars and was like, what you got going on tomorrow? What you got going on? Okay, so we decided we're going to go grocery shopping after we drop our daughter off at school because I don't have a meeting till 12 o'clock. So that's literally how we do our balancing our work and our relationship. It's like when we have time in between meetings and time in between stuff, like we'll just sit down and like talk to each other or like watch an episode of a show or do something that we just enjoy to like kind of decompress and de-stress and like not let the work like overtake us. So I think it's really about going back again to communicating about like what's going on. And if you feel like your needs aren't being met and you're not getting the attention you desire, communicating that as well. Because if I don't know that he needs more attention, he's not going to get it because I think everything's fine. So it's like if he sits there and lets resentment build up and then we have a big argument, it's like, well, this could have been avoided if you just said, you feel like I'm giving work too much attention and you need more. So I think
it's also important to check in and see what's
going on. And yeah, agree.
Like I'm always very big on it's always a responsibility of both people. Mm-hmm. So on one end, it is my responsibility to voice my opinion, but it's also her responsibility to check it.
Yeah,
it's my responsibility to see what's going on with her and check in with her. The same thing, her responsibility to let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
So because sometimes you're too much in your head, you don't check in.
Yeah,
so it's both responsible.
Yeah, because I think sometimes too, like when people are dating, and this is like more pre-pandemic, where people would be like kind of shirking responsibility of like communicating with their significant other because they were working. You are not a surgeon. You are not saving the world. Ain't no much working in the world. So when you cannot communicate with your partner at least once a day, like you take me to your jack or what? But there is no amount of work that you're doing that precludes you from talking to your partner at least once a day. So when people be like, oh, I haven't talked to my man in a couple of days, he's working. No, he has another girlfriend or another family. You need to do some investigation into that. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody, I cannot tell them how you're not talking at least once a day. Like, unless this person is in Bosnia, no shade to Bosnia, or some country where they don't have good phone connections or something like that, there's no plausible reason in the 21st century that people aren't talking. Like, work should not be an excuse for why a couple isn't in communication. So, you know, I feel like, you know, like I said, pre-pandemic, people were really using that as an excuse. But again, I think it comes down to communication about what you guys are doing in work and setting your expectations appropriately. Like, if you're dating somebody whose work hours are like midnight to 8, like, you know, you can't really hang out with them at night. You got to adjust what your hangout time is to, you know, something maybe more in the daytime, because that person needs to go to bed because they got to go to work at the time that everybody else is asleep. Their clock is different. So it's just really about communicating and finding out what works for your relationship. But yeah, I think that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
So what was the question? So was it not he was too nice and I want an aggressive? I don't know what a high value man is, so I'm gonna need somebody to define that for me, because I've heard Kevin Samuel say, and I don't know what that means. Like, does it mean a rich man? Does it?
Not necessarily. High value man isn't necessarily like he has to have money, but someone who has a certain standard, you know, for how they carry themselves and how they would treat their significant other. So someone who brings value to the table in terms of like their internal self and shares that. But it doesn't necessarily have to be about money. It's just someone, who is valuable to, you know, he's high value to you because he's valuable to you, and you're high value to him because he's your value. Yeah, you know what I mean?
All right. Because I've heard that term used, and I was like, I don't know what that means. So you're like, so go back to Diamond's question. Thank you for that. So you're saying you and somebody had some type of interaction, communication, where it seemed like there was mutual attraction. Y'all went on, tell me if I'm wrong, y'all went on a date, and the person, or y'all attempted to go on a date, or
I think he was trying to talk in third person, Kristin.
Right,
don't blow him up.
What it is. I'm trying to understand so I can answer the
This
question.
definitely did not happen to me. I'm just speaking in general.
Okay, okay. When he was telling the story, it was like, I'm asking for a friend, but the friend is me. So I was
clear. He does that.
So I guess what I've gotten from it is basically the person would say, "Oh, the guy is too nice."
Okay.
And the guy will say,
"I want someone more aggressive."
I think sometimes we get too caught up in that sometimes, meaning like I think that like it's okay that someone prefers someone more aggressive. It's not like a terrible,
right?
It's not. It's like if someone says like I want somebody who's like that, then it's just not for you. Like I don't know if you want to be with somebody who just doesn't want somebody like you.
Yeah, like
you know what I'm saying.
Like to me, too nice is kind of a cop out. Like what does that mean?
Thank you.
I don't know what that means. Like I've never met a guy and my response was he's too nice. So maybe I just don't know these kinds of people, but I've never encountered a guy where I said he's too nice. And maybe it's because I looked for and I wanted someone who I thought was nice. So it might honestly just be that the person doesn't find...
It's just not good language.
Yeah, it's not good language.
So like, I don't think they mean the term nice.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they mean.
I think they mean like, because like some people use nice and mean other things.
Yeah.
Some people say nice and then mean sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Some people say nice and they mean like I feel like you just let me do whatever I want.
Right. Right.
Like
and there's some toxic like thought processes about that because again, people don't, a lot of people don't understand what a healthy relationship even looks like. So they think that a person who is like aggressive in their language and aggressive in their like demeanor all the time, like that's what a quote unquote strong man is. And that might not be true. He might actually just be abusive or like bad at communication. But, you know, and that's not a general, but I'm just saying it's like there's a stereotype attached to like carrying yourself a certain kind of way as a man. And I feel like sometimes you just gotta take the L as the dude. Like if she said you're too nice, then you're too nice, and just move on. She's not, because first of all, if she's using that terminology with you,
she has a perception of you.
She has a perception of you that you are very unlikely to shake.
So you don't really want that person.
Yeah, that person's not for you. That's just the bottom line. Like Sis Kane had a meal and she dipped. I mean, happens to the best of us. I mean, but yeah, I feel like
Damn.
it's cold-blooded, my guy. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I think it's a certain level, and I feel too like it's a certain level of maturity. Because I can't believe that a woman over 30 is using "I'm too nice." If she is, she needs to pull her life together in a very serious way. But there's a certain level of maturity to where you're like Xing a guy out of the conversation and using that terminology. I feel like as you get older and you become more mature, it becomes more like, I don't think you're the right person for me. I don't think we vibe. I don't think this will go anywhere. And, you know, I think that as the guy who's hearing that, you shouldn't then take that and be like, well, nah, I guess I'm gonna have to be more like these guys she wants to be. That's not who you are authentically. Yeah. And so you're going to spend a relationship or spend time putting on, pretending to be somebody that you are not, to attract somebody who is not genuinely attracted to who you actually are. Because at some point, the facade is going to slip and you're going to be regular you. And then, you know, that creates an argument and conflict. So I feel as if that's what someone tells you, even as disingenuous and quite frankly, unhelpful to you as a person, that they're saying that, you just kind of got to take the L and be like, that person's not for me, despite what I think about them. Or if I think they would be a good fit for me, they're just not.
Yeah, and it's important to be the most genuine person you can be.
Yeah.
Well, like, I think you can, wherever you are, just be confident in who you are. And I think that tends to be attractive to whoever you are, really attractive to. There's confidence in whoever you are.
Yeah.
But, and what's the last question?
The last one was like, I wrote this down really badly. Yeah, but it was like he was basically saying, you know, like, you know, being with somebody that you really want to be with, but it doesn't work out. You have kids.
So, like, the question is, being with somebody and you have kids.
So I think you got it.
Go ahead, TC. Go ahead.
No. I'm gonna let you explain it.
All right. So pretty much, you know, a lot of guys, and I've gotten this conversation with specifically, you know, my friends too, you know, my guys, as in like, they don't want, you know, they're not married, they're not, none of that. Some of them are in a relationship, but they are in a secure mode, in a protective mode. It's like, I don't want 3 baby mothers. Okay. I don't want, you know, that's something that they're saying that's their fear.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so are you saying that they will continue to be in this relationship, like, even though they know it's not what they really want to do, but they don't want to break up their family and or branch out to other people and have multiple? Oh, that's deep.
Oh, wow. This is so easy. Go ahead.
well, like, it's pretty much like the mindset of how is this going to work out? What happens if it does not work out and we have kids, and next you know, now I'm a single father, and now when someone else, I'm in another relationship, and now I have 2 baby mothers, and that's something of, I'm gonna say that's the I don't want to say fear,
bro.
But
well, the reality is like, as guys, we have to be as particular with who we talk to, like everybody else is. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be more particular with that. I think we other times guys get off the hook of not being choosy. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of, I think we should be choosy also in terms of how we choose somebody to be with. Mm-hmm. Wrap up.
Yes, condoms are yet available, Chief. Yet available.
Wrap up until the person is accepted.
Right, because I feel like, again, in this day and age, like, people is like dating somebody and they accidentally getting pregnant and now y'all a family. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Uh-huh. Huh?
Yeah, like wrap up into is acceptable. Like, because like, you don't know that person. You don't know that woman. Yeah. You don't know the person and everything. And like, you don't want to stay with somebody for the kids.
Well, that's an awful thing.
Because that actually makes it worse for the kids.
Right.
Because y'all not cool. The kids see y'all not cool. Yeah. So that's not making it better. So the reality is, is whatever, and don't take it off. Like vet the person the same way as everyone else vets. Like vet them, like how's this person, what's going on, like vet, do the whole vet process, like analyze if this person is the same way they are right now, would I still want to be with them? If they never change, is that
yes? Is this someone I want raising my children? Is this someone I want to be tied to for the rest of my life? Because do
I like how they talk to me?
Yes.
Do I like how like analyze that correctly?
Yes. Before you ever think of shooting up the club, like examine all those things and check off the appropriate boxes and make sure that that's in alignment, because a baby can't be unborn once it's born.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there. Whether you're in the baby's life actively or not in the baby's life actively, the baby is still there.
It's still here. They're
still a human. You still got to do some type of something. So it's like, be responsible about bringing other humans into the world. Like, I think, a lot of times men kind of are let off the hook of doing that because, sowing your royal oats, blah, 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 blah. But those children are collateral damage in the poor decisions that you make when you're having multiple baby mamas. And so while I don't endorse like staying in a toxic relationship with someone just because you have kids, it's like, but did you do the appropriate vetting before it got to this? There had to be some signs, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you're not happy in a situation as a guy with somebody just because you have kids, move on if you want to, but be very, very cautious about how you do it and about potentially bringing more children into a situation without properly vetting.
Because like if you have kids now, you should probably do double the vetting with the person who comes.
Right, because you want to make sure they do your kids right.
Yeah, the kids you have currently and what kids it's just really be better with our vetting.
Yeah, agreed. Because the truth of the matter is this: a woman can only get pregnant one time in the course of a year. Men can get about 30 people pregnant because all it takes is one sperm to meet one egg. So listen, I have two brothers that are hood twins, okay? Two younger brothers that are hood twins. My father was out there in these streets and they're like 6 months apart in age. And it's just like, my God, what are we doing? But, men can go out and just do whatever they want. And, that's how you see people with all these multiple kids because sperm do what it do. So it's like you got to be responsible with that, because if you having sex unprotected, children result many of the time.
You can't just be like, I love this girl. How is this person relationship? How are we at a relationship? How are we together?
Yeah.
How do we interact? Like, all that stuff that doesn't add up.
Is this a person I want to do life with? Period.
How does she feel about me?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You are doing fine.
Is this someone that gets along with my family? And sometimes people's families be toxic. Truthfully. But is this someone that has like good relations with like everybody else in my life? Like, is this person like a organic part of my life in a way where I don't have to be like, well, I can go this place with it, but I can't go this place with it. This, like, you got to really look at all those factors. Because once you have kids with somebody, you are tied to them for the rest of your life.
And like on mention of family, like if you have a spouse and they're not really cool with your family, how do you respond to that? Right? How is that response? Because like everybody responds differently to that.
Right.
Some will be like, all right, it's me and her against the world. Some are not.
Right. Right.
But you have to be honest about that too.
Yeah.
About how they respond to that. So like you have to be honest and based off of how the interaction is. Like, will you be with somebody who your family doesn't like?
Yeah.
If is that a yes or no? Some people will, some people will not. But it matters. And the problem is that like we have is there are no right or wrong answers to it. It's just your preference.
Right.
There are no right or wrong answers to any of it.
Yeah. But just know if you have kids with somebody that your family not really feeling, they might not be feeling them kids either.
Yeah.
So now you just created a whole cluster of issues for no real reason.
Like marriage is, there's a lot of not like right or wrong answers. It's just how do y'all respond to it?
Yeah.
How do they work with y'all?
Yeah.
Ooh. Y'all touched on. I got a little story time for y'all actually off of that.
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
Just a little.
Story time.
As soon as you said that, Rich, as soon as you asked that last question, I was like, I'm like, in my mind, I just heard hysterectomy. Like, I don't know, I'm terrible. But like, okay, yes, there are options. Use protection. Be celibate. Like, I think that it's a very simple thing that is being overcomplicated because of a lack of self-control. I knew a couple, very toxic, domestic violence type of situation. And when they were actually towards the end of their relationship, the girl got pregnant. And whereas she, you know, could have made a different decision because this was obviously a very toxic relationship, she chose to keep the child so that she could hold on to the man.
Oh, boy.
Now, let's move a few years forward. Because she couldn't do that, she's withholding that child from that man. Now look at what you're so resentful and so bitter that you can't even consider the life that you're now giving your child because of the decision that you made.
Right.
That's one case in point. Family member. You know, everybody got them crazy family members. Now, one of my family members is like crazy, like pull up to the crib, mad loud, mad rambunctious. You ain't seen him in a minute. Maybe he just got out, like he got the gat in the bag, like it's always something. He has a girlfriend. Okay, God bless your heart that you could come over here and deal with this family, because I don't know, sis. I couldn't do it. And then to find out this is one of the family members that likes to sow his oats. So he has a few kids. And then you find out he's still married to one of his exes. And so you, and like on both parts, like as a man, like why are you still married to a woman that you're not even with? And then you have a girlfriend, but why is your girlfriend being with you when you married somebody else and y'all have kids together? And now this could just come out of nowhere and ruin everything y'all got because she's legally binded to him. Crazy. Okay. Wow. We got the other family member likes to sow his oats. His situation got so bad with the woman he was dealing with because he lacks discernment in the woman he chooses to deal with, because he just thinks with his other head, that she actually accused him of rape at one point because she was so angry with him.
Wow.
This is how nasty it gets when you just, oh, I want to hump. Like another story. A sister, she's been with her boyfriend for like years, and like his family's like the female figures in his family stay coming for her. Like, and I had like to talk to her, like, okay, you have to ask yourself though, can you deal with this long term? Is this something you can handle without losing your mind? And if you really want to be in this relationship, how are you going to deal with it? Me, I'm petty too. I'll teach you. I'm like, okay, so what you need to do if they're going to keep coming for you, you need to know how to hit them where it hurts too, but you got to keep it classy. Okay?
That's I can't say.
Or just break up, honey. That's shit.
And you know what? I can't tell somebody that's not where they want to go, what they want to do. I'm gonna work with you where you at. In my mind, I'm thinking you need to go on, because I'm over here single, like I'm whatever. I ain't gonna deal with it. Right. But maybe you really think you can work it out. Okay.
Bless
well,
you.
You need to learn how to speak up for yourself too. Like to be in the situation and like just like thinking like, oh, I could be with somebody and their family like totally doesn't like me. And not to say that he doesn't stand up for her, but you know, it bothers her. So you actually really have to be present. Like, okay, there's so many different factors that are going to either uplift or hold down this relationship. Right. And you have to really figure out, okay, can I be in this for better or for worse? And like you said, like asking yourself, is this the type of woman I want to have my children with? Like, you really got to be real with yourself and stop like staying with people just because it's comfortable, just because they're not a bad person. The person who we often say, oh, they're not a bad person, will ruin your life. Yeah. Because they're not a bad person. So
because you really don't know what people are capable of when they're bitter or they're really angry or they're really upset. Like, people will do some awful things when they're bitter and upset. 100%. Like, people will go there if they feel like they're hurt and they want to get back at you. They will do the most hurtful thing they can think of to get back at you.
Absolutely. And it's just like, stop being so quick to lay with someone just because there's a physical attraction, because just as fast as that physical attraction happened is just as fast as that could turn on you and ruin your life in ways that you could never imagine. And then now you hate men, now you hate women, everybody hates each other because you didn't take time to really assess the situation.
The goal
and so
the important thing, the goal is to not just, I'm just going to, who can I deal with? The goal is, can I be happy?
Yeah.
Those are two different things. Not just, can I deal with this person for a couple of years?
Right.
Yeah, because I'm a dealer.
Right.
Am I actually happy?
Like,
if you're not actually happy, like, don't, like, actually fight for your happiness.
Right. Right.
And don't stop till you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Period. I can deal with a lot. I'll tell you that. But I'm not. I don't work at a casino. I'm not a dealer. Hey. But I'm gonna work my way backwards. I'm gonna keep it real short. You said homeboy took out homegirl, brought her flowers, treated her to dinner, and she said, "Oh." Basically, the way you said it, I felt like you were saying she said he's not toxic enough. Like, I need a roughneck. That's what
I need somebody to punch me in the face, basically.
Okay, so there's nothing to even talk about. She's toxic. You need to move on.
I'm not your problem.
That's not your problem that somebody else wants a problem. Okay? Like, okay, like, move on. Like, get over her and get with the next one. Because what did you really build? You just took her out for one meal. So you spent maybe $100 to figure out she's not gonna work. All right. Go back to work, get your bag up, and
what's worse, $100 or a whole baby?
It's more than
I'm saying though, like, you know how much diapers cost?
I mean, if you're looking at it that way, the $100 is nothing like that.
It's really a small L to take for the long term. Like, you got to think about college savings. Like, you just got to be like, well, we could have had a baby. Well, I could have married her and made a contract that it would cost me more to get out of. Like, you just got to, like, count your losses and count your blessings and keep it moving. Like, if I was still holding on to the dude who forgot about my second date and then didn't bring me flowers to the next day and was late, talking about you was going to make it up to me, but you didn't, then I would just be upset about nothing. I'm just not going to talk to you. Obviously, you can't, do what you say you was going to do. You see, he spent money to show me that he couldn't keep up with what he was going to do. So I'm really chilling like I'm chilling like a villain. That was nothing. But if I had kept going, trying to say, oh, well, maybe it's not, maybe something little. Like, people need to pay attention to the little things because that's where it really starts. And so if you don't like something and it seems small, just think about how much bigger that can get the longer you spend your time there.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? And then I'm real quick, in and out. 12 to 15 hour work days. I don't want to hear none of that because I was in college. I took like 4 or 5 classes at one point. I was working. I was performing at shows. I was Bob the Building, my ex-boyfriend. The case in point is that people make time for what they want to make time for. I was running myself raggedy.
Right.
But because I felt like what I was doing was important, what, for better or worse, like, I've always been a person, I can do a million things. People know me. They know I'm Jamaican because I'm always doing something. Girl, you just was working there. Yeah, I quit. Girl, you was just doing that. Yeah, I'm done with that. Like, I move on to the next. Like, I don't have time to waste. So, like me, I care when I give you my time because I do so many things, but that doesn't mean that I don't have time for you. That means I have to make time for you.
That's it.
I feel that.
I like that.
That's ball's gem. That's a ball's gem right there. Let's go, Phonetic.
And
I resonate with that.
Okay, come on, Hot Fire.
All right. Anybody else?
I'm gonna leave it there.
Anybody else? Come on, TC, Elon.
I have one quick question. How do you guys handle jealousy in a marriage?
No one here is jealous.
Ooh.
You cut that real quick, like, nobody is jealous.
Yeah, you cut that down real quick.
No, but we're not, though. Like, people who know us know what time it is. So, like, we both know what time it is as a couple. Like, we've had this conversation on our podcast and just as ourselves individually.
Being jealous is exhausting.
It really is. It really is. You are creating whole storylines in your head off of what you thought may have happened. like as I get older, I just don't have the mental bandwidth to do all that. I really don't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, unless I see something in my face directly that's like, this is something that's a glaring problem, I'm not gonna take one phone call or one-off situation that, oh, he doing something, whatever.
But this is important. We always make sure to do things to make sure that their person is comfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's not just like not jealous and that nothing happens.
Right.
I always say, for me, it is my objective and my responsibility to run away to make sure nothing happens. Meaning, I don't want to put myself in any situation that might even look unacceptable. And that is important because, and like I remember like if I'm at work and like a woman's like, I brought you lunch, I'm like, nah, don't do that ever again. No, I'm good. Because like I don't want to even give you the possibility that no.
Right, because if we're out at a work function and one of his coworkers hit me, I bring your husband lunch every day. Do you? Yeah. Now we have a problem.
Yeah.
Me and him have a problem. Me and you have a problem.
Like so, it's just
everyone has problems.
Do not create scenarios.
Yeah.
And everything like and if you're uncomfortable with it, something that your spouse might be doing, say you're uncomfortable with it, and it's okay to say you're uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
All right. That doesn't mean you're jealous to be uncomfortable with something that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Meaning, I think when she first started working one job, she was like my work husband. I was like, nah, shut that down.
I remember he picked me up from work. We were in the car, and like it's a guy. Like me and the guy are still friends to this day.
He's cool.
He's cool. We started the job at the same time on the same day, so we went through the whole process together. So when you have that kind of work bond with somebody. Like, it was just like a little joke. Like we would go have lunch together, whatever. But it was never that type of party, like at all. And I remember making that joke. And he was like, "I'm gonna need you to relax." And like he got so serious when he said it. I was like, I had never seen him respond that way before about me make like anything to like. Marcus never cared that I had guy friends or anything like that. But when I said work husband, he was like, "On your own, sis.
A title.
Because people do take that work husband, work wife thing to the next level. And I was like,
you take the next level, number one, and when you keep saying it in your mind, it becomes a little different.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't take them words off your mouth.
Yeah.
Y'all can be friends. Cool. I'm not cool. I'm cool. Y'all being friends. Take that work husband out your mouth.
Right.
Like don't even say those words.
I was like, you got it, Betty. You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think Mark and I are like jealous people by nature. That's why I kind of was like, we not those type of people. Like we know what we have, and we both know that we don't want to ruin that off of some like momentary nonsense. Like, and I also think I'm oblivious too, because Mark be like, "Oh, people be checking for you." I'm like, "Where? No one's checking for me." And he'd be like, "Oh, that person was flirting with you." I'm like, "Were they? I didn't catch it." And so it's like. For me, I think I always have to kind of be like mindful of like, what is this person thinking that this means? Like, and I'm also like a touchy person. Like, so when I laugh, I'll do like this. And so I have to be mindful, like if I'm talking to a man and I do that, I'm like, would you think I want him now? Because that's not even what's going on here. And I don't want Mark to be uncomfortable if he sees me doing something like that. But I don't think that we have that sort of like, what you doing, what's up with that type of vibe.
It's important to like be mindful of your actions and like how things look.
Yeah.
Because you just never want to be in a position where you put your spouse in an uncomfortable situation.
Right.
Or them feeling uncomfortable.
Right. And I think part of what kind of keeps jealousy off the table for us as a couple is that we both agreed that infidelity is a deal breaker. Like infidelity is something that would cause us to go our separate ways. So because we both agreed that that's the case, we both will not do anything to try to cause there to be questions or for jealousy to be brought up because we know this is something where we draw a hard line at as a couple. So I think that also helps us kind of keep things from going down that road at any point.
And we like the dynamic relationship. No matter what anybody says, any form of cheating changes the dynamic of the
relationship. It is. Yeah. Even if it's like, like even if it's like, people be like, oh, well, it was just an emotional affair. Oh, it was just talking. Like once the trust is broken, it's broken forever.
Yeah,
forever.
Like
you can go to counseling, you can do all these things.
You might operate in a different space, and you might find a way to deal with it differently.
Yeah.
So it will never be the same.
Yeah.
It might be a different way you deal with it.
Yeah.
But it's never the same thing it always has been.
Yeah.
It'll never be in the same form it was.
Yeah, and so I think because we're trying to preserve that like dynamic, we don't want to do anything that would even throw that off. So I think we're both very mindful of not being in situations or putting ourselves in situations or doing stuff that would create jealousy, which then creates questions, which then ruins the dynamic.
Okay.
That's pause.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
pause.
And
okay.
Sorry, Diamonds. One more thing. I am curious. What are your guys' sign? I'm just curious.
I'm an Aquarius.
Cancer.
Okay.
Oh, Aquarius.
What's up, Cancer?
Who's the other Aquarian? Hey.
Cancer gang, Cancer. Okay.
Who's a Cancer?
Ordinarily, this doesn't work as a combo.
I was going to say that. I was like a
No.
strange pair,
but you know what it is? I think it's because he's the least emotional Cancer I've ever met in my life. Like, they always make jokes about how Cancer men are mad emotional and be crying a lot. Not him right here. This dude is stone.
You need to teach me your ways.
Stone.
They be hating.
Stone.
I don't
Like,
even like
he's meaner than me, and I'm supposed to be the mean one.
I am not mean.
A mean one.
Because
say what's on your mind.
Aquarius is not the mean one. Aquarius is so cool. Like,
no, we're great, but people don't feel that way. They feel that we're very detached as people. And I'm like, I can do that. But like, I have feelings, I care about things, but it's like, I think the thing with Aquarius is that people feel we're cold and detached. It's like, once we exit something or we're over something, we no longer give a damn when we're serious about that. Like, we don't care anymore. Like, the door is closed, it's canceled. Like, end of discussion. Like, Jesus would have to tell me to entertain the situation again, and I would still be like, really? Like, that's how hard we are about things. And so it's like, I think that's why people think we're mean, because we just be like, nah, I'm good on that. And we mean it, and we stay that way. But I think our dynamic, it just works. I don't know why. I think it's because, I think it's honestly because, like, Mark is a very level-headed kind of person, and he's very logical. I'm a type of person that when I have to make a decision and it's a hard decision, I'm like, but it's gonna affect everyone, and this one's gonna be this, and this one's gonna be that. And he's like, okay, but do you still have to make a decision, yes or no? So I'm like, okay, so it's like there's a balance we have. That's somehow yeah. Like I've dated other Aquariuses. Bad idea. Don't do that. Would not recommend. Apparently Aquariuses vibe well with other Aquariuses, Geminis, and Libras. 0 out of 10 stars. Would not recommend. No.
Yeah, like every astrology thing simply don't work out.
Yeah, all the astrology things, like, they never put it together. They're like, I mean, y'all could date, but like, I don't know. Like, that's how it always
Y'all sure?
Did you get a full natal chart reading though?
Yeah, we did. We actually sat down and did one of those.
And those guys,
that's so cool.
Maybe we'll see.
Like, it might convert, but like one of y'all will really have to do some altering to really make it be a thing. And it's just like,
okay.
It just works. But I think you have like a Gemini moon or something like that, which is why I think we may vibe, because I am a.
Okay.
That can make sense then.
It might be that. I think that's what I saved it. I gotta go back.
His emotions understand your personality.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Is somebody else?
I see your face. It's just like,
to get started. Oh yeah, I'm an Aries. I love astrology too. So don't get me started.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt it in your spirit too before you put up your Instagram name. I was like, she was like, I don't have patience. I was like, Aries.
Aries are some interesting folks. Like, I like y'all as people, but y'all just be doing.
Oh, I agree.
Aries be giving a lot of smoke, and I'm like, wow.
Oh, they be ready for the static.
Like, they stay already with the static, and I'm always like, so you want to relax or
not? Let me tell you something about Aries. No. Aries are the biggest Twinkies out there. They act like they're all tough. Once you get to know them, they're mad soft.
No, they're mad soft.
Yeah.
That's
how they present themselves.
My cousin and my mother are both Aries, and like they'll say something like really like piercing, and then later on like
I'm sorry. No, you was talking. Listen,
I
took it too far. My bad. It's like no. And I can't really vibe with all that. Y'all cool as people. I can't really get with Virgos though. They're not for me as a person. So no offense.
Not for Virgos.
They're very
not Virgos.
I don't even get outside on that.
Nah, they just I don't they work on my nerves in a special way.
They do work on my nerves in a special way, but I really try to talk to God because my mother is still my mother. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I understand though. Like I be like, I feel like I'm in a chokehold when I'm talking to you. Just a little
very stressful.
Because they're never wrong. That's why.
Like never, ever, and
Never
she's
wrong.
Jamaican. So like, imagine a Jamaican version.
Oh, that's a combo.
Not just a Virgo.
That's the number 5.
Go with that. Go with that.
My mom's a Capricorn, Trinidadian. Went to the army.
I have a Capricorn baby, so I mean, yeah. And my sister's a Capricorn. Like we too similar as signs, and so I think we need distance. We can't all be together because Capricorns always think they're right, and Aquarians always think they're right.
Exactly. Capricorns always want to be the leader. They always want to be the leader.
Always want to be everything. They don't know how to follow nothing. Mm-hmm. They're the boss of everything.
Yep.
It's like, well then.
It's like with Capricorns, I look at them, I say, I see you Tuesday, and I see you some other time. I'm good. Like, that's it.
But listen, I appreciate them on a team, though, because they're very pragmatic.
Ooh, yes.
Like, they get to the nitty-gritty of, like, what needs to be done very quick. Like, on a group project, while everybody else is like, oh, I think maybe, the Capricorn's like, look, what the instructions say, what points we need to touch, how we going to get there. So I appreciate that part about them. But they don't know how to turn that off sometimes.
You need one.
So how do we feel about Sagittarius? How do we feel about them?
Whoever is Sagittarius, y'all stay hiding. Don't nobody know who y'all are.
We can keep up with you guys.
He's over here trying to get assessments. Like, so what do y'all think about me?
What do we think about
I was Sagittarius.
Don't judge me.
Listen, I don't know if this is true about you, but my personal feelings about Sagittarius, I'm a person that gets a very good read on people very quickly. The Sagittarius people I know, they still showing me their representative, and I've known them for years. And that weirds me out. Sagittarius people are very good at concealing a lot of things.
I think they're just
feel like you know something, and you'd be like, "Wait,
that's true.
I don't really know nothing." though. They're very like only very select people be knowing anything about them.
Yeah, I think it's just their nature is strategic. Because I think their symbol is the arrow, and am I bugging? Is some aspect of their symbol?
The guy with the arrow, right?
Yeah, if you think about like shooting a bow and arrow, you have to really be kind of like tuned into the focus to really like see your target. And so I think they just have they have a very precise focus. Like this girl I know, she's a Sagittarius, and ever since I've known her, she's just always been a very focused person.
It's true.
Like she has a goal, she sees it. She doesn't see anything else. Tunnel vision. This is what I'm focused on, and I love that because that level of discipline is really admirable. But I think it can also make people feel isolated from them. Whereas it's like, okay, but who are you?
Right.
I know your goals. Know what you want to accomplish, but who are you?
And you're right, because all the Sagittarius I know happen to be Jamaican, and they're all very like one's an engineer, one's a nurse, one's a linguist. And they're very focused on that goal. And like what you know about them is about that goal. But like when you sit back and be like, what I know about you, like for real, it's like I'm not sure.
And you know what? I know their planet is Jupiter, and like that's the planet that's like about like I don't know. I think like
what
expansion.
You're focused on life.
Like they kind of like embellish stuff. Like it has to be like grandiose. Like it has to be like above and beyond. Like I don't know, like they could tell a story but like embellish it a lot because they want to like I don't know, the shock value. I don't know, that's something I know about them too. So yeah, and they're like wild and crazy people, which is cool, it's just fun, but you know, they wild and crazy. So
yeah, I think they just tend to identify themselves with their goals.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, when it comes to Jupiter is like the planet that lets you know, like, okay, this is where your gifts are. And so that makes sense that Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter because they're so focused on what their gift is and harnessing that gift, which makes sense because the Capricorn comes after, and whatever the Capricorn is good at, the Capricorn can get really stuck on and obsessed with.
Makes sense.
Is there any other marriage questions or reference?
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say I know Nairon, but I know we pressed on time. We're definitely pressed on time.
Let Nairon get his question off. What do you want to know?
Why are you doing that?
So if we got listen, I'm gonna just let everything flow now.
We just want to make sure all the questions get answered.
Yeah, we'll do his for the last question.
Okay, all right. I'll do the last question, and it's a very simple question.
Your shot.
I got another question too, but
okay, Diamond will have the last question. So Nairon.
All right. Yeah. So you guys have been together, married and dating in totality. How long?
11 years.
How's the sex after 11 years?
Oh my God!
I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. Don't leave the room. Don't go. This y'all man. Y'all invited him. Don't do that.
Whoa! I don't know this guy.
Bro, there's no build up to that question just now. You just did it.
There's no build up.
My God, you got to give post warning. I wasn't ready. I was like, where's this going?
Like, you just do it out there. Like, how is the sex?
No, I'm fine. I just didn't expect it. I was like, whoa, hey.
I wasn't expecting that.
I think we've gotten to a comfortable pace, I guess. Like
a comfortable pace. Like, have you after 11 years, you guys get bored?
I was gonna ask that question actually about boring.
In terms of consistency, like in the beginning, when you're dating somebody, like you have sex all the time, like because what else are you doing? This is a fun time. At some point, like life happens. You're working. You got a kid, and so it just changes. Like we still very much enjoy having sex with one another, but and it's great. I think we find ways to switch it up, to please each other, to try different things, whatever the case is. But it's like, would I like to do it every day? Sure. Is that practical? No. It's just not realistic.
So if there are down periods, how do you guys get back on track?
Mm-hmm.
If there are down periods, how do you guys get back on track?
Made it sound like a computer system shut down.
Yeah, for real, like it's Windows 8.
Windows 8.
How do you reboot the sex life?
Well,
how do you update the firmware?
Many times, like we'll have a conversation like this has not happened. So it's kind of like an effort to do it because like I said before, it was kind of when you were younger and we were like single and together. It's kind of like when you see each other at all times, you're ready at all times. Let's go. When you're young. But like after you're married, you have kids and everything like that, you're focused on so many things. At night you just be tired. Right. So like you literally have to you just gotta put forth extra effort to do it. Right. You want to make sure that like you're both in a satisfying relationship. So like it's kind of like even though either one is tired, you just keep trying.
Yeah. Like I remember I used to hear people say you should schedule sex, and I was like, that's the ghetto. Why do something like that? But like it sounded super corny to me. But now I'm like, as we're older and like doing a lot more in life and time being less,
we don't schedule it.
Available. We don't schedule it, but it's just kind of like I know in my head I'd be having certain times in my head I'm like, okay, nothing's gonna be going on at this time. Maybe we can get something in because it's just like it just And time gets away. It's really that.
And if one person is ready, the other person, even though I be down earlier.
No, you be making it seem like I be accosting him. That is not true. You can say no. I don't appreciate when you do that like that. You can say no. I don't respect you into no sex. You can just be like, I can respect you in your body. I can do that. Making me sound like I'm a stalker. I'm like, no, don't do that. Okay,
so after 11 years, if you had to give your sex life a grade, what would you give it?
It's an A. Yeah. Like I'm getting my life.
Wow, an A. That's an A after 11 years.
Listen, we are very sexually compatible. Like, it works. Like we know what the other person likes, and we know how to get them where we want them to go. And so it's like,
which comes to communication also.
Exactly, which comes to communication.
You should have the conversation.
Yeah.
But like, hey, what do you like? Don't just do stuff without having a conversation. What do you actually like?
Like, because you don't want to be just out here thinking you getting to something and you're not getting to nothing because
nothing's getting got.
Nothing's getting got. I mean, if you have to ask the question, did you? You already know the answer, but you asked him. Come on, don't hurt yourself. You already know. Don't do that. Don't hurt yourself. So
the answer is no.
The answer is no. And you already know that. So just let's not play ourselves. So I think, it's about, knowing what works for you and being constantly in communication about like, okay, like we're not as young anymore. So some of the foolishness that we used to do when we were like 10 years ago, we can't do that no more. We done put some weight on. Like you just gotta, come on. It's super fun to think about. Like, and honestly, I think you just gotta be adventurous and just try. Like, it's never too late to try stuff. I feel like, and it's like, oh, we've never done that before. Let's try that. And I mean, even a change in location makes such a difference. Like, home sex is totally different from hotel sex because you just be at the people place acting up, doing all types of stuff. Because like we're at home in our child's home, we can't be out here just doing all. You gotta chill. You gotta press the button a little bit. But when you're alone on vacation, you in a new place, doing new stuff, drinking a little bit, like it's just a different experience. So it's like sometimes you gotta change the location to amp up the experience a little bit. So it's just kind of like I think again, going back to what Mark said about communication, like being open to being like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, let's try something new. But it's like, I feel like we have to make it work because we're not breaking up. We doing this till the wheels fall off.
Let's figure it out.
Let's figure it out. Like we don't have room for the sex life to go to garbage because like the minute the sex life goes to garbage, that's honestly when other people start looking really appealing. And you have because here's the thing, like let's just be fully honest, like when you think about the concept of having sex with the same person for 11 years, it sounds awful.
That's why I was shocked when I said you gave it an A. Like objectively, you gave it an A after 11 years. I'm like, really?
Like you gotta find ways.
You gotta find things. You gotta, like send sexy texts. You gotta wear certain outfits around that. Like you just gotta do certain stuff to like let your partner know that you're interested. because it's very easy to kind of take the person for granted and just kind of be like, they're here. So it's like you got to make a concerted effort to let the person know that you still find them attractive, that you still find them interesting, because it's very easy to neglect that with everything else going on. And it's like, if we're not breaking up, we got to figure out how to continue to be exciting to one another. Otherwise, he's gonna start like we both have eyes. We not checking for nobody else, but we both have eyes. Like we make this joke all the time. Neither one of us is the other's type at all.
Like this is what we mean. This is what I mean.
All right.
Yeah, I try to understand that.
Like, do you change wigs so he can feel like he's having sex with someone else?
Girl, these wigs be off. These wigs be off.
You know what?
Oh, the wig be off.
The wig be off. You get it's a bonnet up here. Okay, sometimes
the bonnet sex. I love it.
We all have like at some point like we have this like we have created this ideal look of what our ideal spouse would look like and everything. In terms of looks,
height, facial hair, skin color.
We have like a lot of things. Before she knew me, before she met me, her ideal person was someone who was dark skinned, who's not me.
Like Kofi Cerebral, Idris Elba, like that, like chocolatey.
That's not who I am.
Yeah, that is not who he is.
I'm brown skinned. I am not.
I can see the Idris Elba in you, sir. I can see the Idris Elba. I see it a little bit.
I appreciate it.
Right. And like he likes like the straight from the motherland, thick chocolate girls.
Let's go.
That's like we know that these are what we find attractive because that's what we've put in our heads. So like we've been to functions where it's been like, oh, I see you over there. I see you over there. Because we know we added, like when we went to the Nigerian Day Parade, we was both over there like, well, look at that. Look at that. His type is there, my type is great. It's a good time. We're not going home with none of those people, but we can see them and appreciate it. And so it's like,
that's just to point out, like, you don't stop looking.
Yeah, your eyes don't stop working.
You don't like lose attraction from everybody else. No, like that's not how life works.
Because they be fine ass people on the street, which is true. It is what it is. But it's like,
I just recognize like, oh, I know she thinks she's attractive, but she's playing with me.
Right, exactly. Like I'm like, I know he thinks she's cute, but we leaving together, so it's whatever. Like this is, we can look, it's fine, it's whatever. I'm not saying be weird, be awkward, be whatever, but it's like accepting that, because I think a lot of people go into relationships and marriage thinking my partner is only ever going to see me. You about to hurt your own feelings when you mad that they see it. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You set yourself up for failure. While you're I think he's handsome as fuck. Part of my language. I don't know if you can curse here. I'm sure he thinks I'm beautiful. He tells me that all the time. But we also know we're not the only handsome, beautiful people in the world. We both see other people. And so it's just like, okay, that's cool, but we know what we got over here, and that's not worth what we got over here. So, you know, I think that's really it.
Well, honestly, I commend you guys for having an A after 11 years. That was honestly, when you said I was looking for an objective response, so if you can give it an objective A, that's like an applause, you know?
Listen, like we have, listen, like I said, we're here for the long haul, so we got to make this work until our stuff don't work no more. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Or better or worse.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Because the minute you start being like, I don't really, outside stuff starts looking attractive. That's just what it is. I think that's primarily why people be out here in these streets. I mean, sometimes, you know, just people are selfish and they just greedy. There ain't no problems in their life at home. But I feel like for a lot of people, if they feel unsatisfied in their sex life, other people start looking attractive.
Yeah, like
even more so.
I'm of the belief that most people never go into something I'm about to cheat.
No,
I believe that's never the case. I think things
most of the time things just happen.
Yeah.
Like if you feel like you're sexually unfulfilled in your relationship and you know you're entertaining, flirting, you're doing certain things, eventually it's gonna lead down that path of you getting intimate with somebody physically because that's something that you're lacking in your household and y'all not communicating or making the necessary steps to fix that.
It's never like an intentional.
Right.
I'm about to cheat this person.
Yeah.